Okay. How you doing, guys? All right. Welcome to Hack Nation Live. I'm your host, Aaron Bennett, where we come to you every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 Central Time and just try and help answer questions and just see if we can help anybody out in general. We do this every Wednesday. I'm sure you've probably seen me here before. You have had lots of special guests. You guys kind of you know the process here. Tonight it's just going to be me, which is fine. The number for the call-in show, guys, is 573-424-2225. Probably a bit more time in the comments section. That's always kind of fun. I don't often get a chance to do that. So if you're watching on TikTok, we'll get a chance to interact a little bit more than we usually do. When will Tom be your guest? Tom the Bomb is on vacation. He's going to take a couple-week vacation, hang out with his mom. Might not be back for a month or two, actually. He kind of needs a break from this place. We're giving him a break. You know, he is only 16 years old. So give him a break. Let him go be a little kid for a little bit, and then he'll be back to doing his thing. More than anything, he lives with his brother, Timmy. Timmy probably needed a break more than anything. Timmy's a new father. And Timmy and his recent wife are new parents, and they kind of needed a break from Tom. So Tom's gone for a little bit, but of course we all love Tom. He'll be back. Yeah, I should have him on the show sometime. That would be fun. The thing about Tom, guys, Willie Nelson died today. Seriously? Man, now you got me wanting to look that up. Willie Nelson died today. That's crazy. Thoughts on PDI cylinder head. So my thoughts on everybody's cylinder head is they're all made by the same people. They're all made by Jera. No matter what distributor you're getting them from. Most guys like PDI and so on, they will get those heads in. HHP does the same thing, you know, and they'll take the valves out. They'll put American-made valves in them. We make a lot better valves than the Asian valves that come in them, and put a lot of American stuff into them. And then most people don't turn around and try and say that they're their own heads, but you know, ATL does that, PDI does that. But you get the cylinder head, you can read right on the casting, it's still a Jera head. PDI is charging astronomically more than everybody else for the same head that it has. So if you really, really like Supreme PDI, buy a head from them. But you're paying a lot more money for something that you can get from anybody. So I certainly wouldn't buy a head from them. The main reason I wouldn't buy a head from them is because if you had a problem with it, they would come up with some reason that it's your fault. That would be my main reason for not dealing with them. Not because the quality of the head is not there. The quality of the head is just fine. Same thing with almost all of the parts that PDI has. They have good quality parts, but so does everybody else, right? So you're paying a premium. You're paying a premium for something that you can get from everybody else and then not getting treated with premium service. So that's what I think about that. Do you cast rings or not possible? I don't understand the question, Charles. Sorry about that. If I send my MXS down to you, what do you figure it will cost to do the 640 build? It's kind of an expensive build, really. Hang on a minute. Let me take that big old Texas-sized dip out. You know, it's kind of an expensive build. Everything is custom to that engine, and it's all performance stuff, right? So you're doing a 16-to-1 monotherm ceramic coated piston, Teflon rods, and yeah, Diesel Beast, I got that from you, buddy, by the way. You know, Teflon rods and mains, and you know, coated manifold, and you know, your turbo. It's pretty badass. We're coming out with a really badass turbo. I should have the prototype in my hand this week. Really excited about it. We got a 78 millimeter titanium wheel turbo, ceramic coated inside and out. I'm pretty excited about that. But anyway, 640 build's kind of an expensive build. To put it into perspective, if you buy a regular build from me, it's about $6,000 more for the 640 build because the labor's all the same. So we don't charge more for it for any other reason than the parts issue. So you're putting about $6,000 more in parts, and just the kit itself is about $2,500 more than a regular kit. So quite a bit more. Piston rings. Our rings are going to be out this week. They're in the mail. Finally, they've been shipped. So we're going to have the rings. I have talked to my lawyers about those rings, and we're going to have to kind of be a little bit of sticklers about reselling them to the public. Long story short, you're going to have to be able to assure us that you're not going to be using these in an application they're not meant for, which means obviously on highway, these are meant for racing and off highway applications only. So we have to basically, you'll have to go on our website that we'll be launching right away here to order our rings. And there's gonna be a little questionnaire you got to fill out. That's what we got to do. We have to be able to read in their trucks and run them on the road. Just the way it's got to be. But we're still excited about them coming out. Our first kits that we have that we've been working on for months and months and months, they're being boxed right now. And those will be available the first week of August here. So we're finally getting somewhere with all this. Pretty excited about it. And we are our follow-up with kits for ISXs and Detroits and all that. We thought that was going to take quite a few months, but we've come up with a good game plan to make them available still yet in the month of August. So we should have pretty much all products line available in the month of August. So pretty excited about that. We're finally at that point. So what in the hell is me? That's a little annoying. How much is your shop labor rate, or do you have book time on every engine? So we have a shop labor rate, which is basically it's $180 an hour, $179, whatever. But we don't really calculate anything out like that. We more have like a book time, like you suggested there. We can have a book time for. I have times for every engine on planet because I, make sure price. If the book time for, let's say, an oil cooler is 2.5 hours, and it's taken us 5 or 6 hours to do it, and we're billing people for that, that's an us problem, right? Your shop rate shouldn't be based on the incompetence of your technicians, right? Like Ohio Truck Works, my buddy that you see on here sometimes, he made a point the other day. It's not a time guide from the manufacturers like Caterpillar, Cummins, stuff like that. I have them all. And if it says that changing an oil cooler, for example, is 2.5 hours, that's what we're going to bill out. And if our guy's taking and we use Shop Monkey and it tracks in real time how long our technicians actually take to do stuff. If our guys are taking 4.5 hours, we have to take a hard look at that. Is that because of the incompetence of our technicians? Or is that because that's what it takes and it's kind of a little bit ridiculous on their timelines? And believe it or not, 99.9% of the time, the OEM, man, they make it tight. They don't give you much time at all, but it is realistic because it can be done. And as long as it can be done, there's not really much argument there, right? Should a cat motor be set to a high idle while sitting? That is true for all diesel engines. They should all be idled up if they're just sitting there. More importantly, what you're looking for, obviously idling them up some to bring up the oil pressure is beneficial, but really what you need to be looking for is, am I keeping my truck to operating temperature? That's the more important thing you need to worry about, not whether or not you idled it up just for the sake of idling it up. You do want to idle it up for the sake of idling it up, to bring up your oil pressure, but that could be 2,000 RPM above dead idle, right? Really, what you're monitoring is my truck staying 180 and above? If not, you need to take some measures to keep it there, either by idling it up more, parking in a different spot, so on and so forth. Is a little blow by okay? A little blow by is okay. You guys have to remember when you freshly rebuild an engine, when the engine is done getting overhauled, I could put my CFM machine on there, and you're going to have 1.5 to 2.5 CFM of pressure in your crankcase the day it gets overhauled. By no matter what, that's a fact. You're always going to have some blow by. There's no way around it. The only way you can that blow by is gapless rings, for example. I wouldn't know where anybody could get any of those, but that is an example of how you could get rid of that blow by. But that blow by technically doesn't hurt anything, technically. So every truck's going to have a little bit, especially when it's warmed up. You might see a little bit of mist coming out of your oil fill tube or something. When, let's say it's at 180 plus degrees on your coolant temperature, oil temperature, it's not going to be a strange thing to take the cap off and see a little bit of blow by, a little bit of mist. You're going to have 1.5 minimum in that crankcase no matter what, right? So to answer the question, a little blow by is okay. Kind of how you figure out if that blow by is a problem is, are you having to add oil to the system? But that's a catch-22 as well. If you're running something like one of these newer engines, like let's say an ISX that has an oil recovery system on it built into your blow-by system, well, that's very deceptive. You could have an excessive blow-by problem and not be losing any oil. So you take some discernment there, as you got to, kind of know what you're looking for. You can't go, well, I don't use any oil, it's fine. And then the shoe goes on the other foot as well. Acerts are famous for this, freshly overhauled, nothing wrong with them, and they're consuming oil, and it's coming out the blow by. So Cat made a recovery system just for the Acerts, and over the years we've had to install, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them on engines that just slow oil right. So, yeah, and this guy, the guy that asked the original question, he's like, I have an Acert. So, kind of there's your sign, right? So, the Acerts are kind of known for it. Cat knew it was a problem on some of the Acerts, and they built the whole system for it. Now you can buy it. I don't know all the part numbers off my head, but you can buy all those items, and they bolt right on. They're made for the Acerts. Yeah, if we start takers and you're watching on TikTok and you want to hear the callers, you have to go to Facebook or YouTube to watch this program. There, it's interactive with the callers. You can hear the callers. We don't have any callers yet. I'm kind of enjoying just being in the comment section, getting a chance to hang out with my TikTokers. How many miles do you recommend to run on an oil change on a 12.7 60 Series Detroit? That is very dependent on the type of oil that you're running, the type of oil processing system that you have. For example, if you have an oil centrifuge, or even better yet, you have a oil bypass system, you can take that oil out for quite a ways. You guys got to remember, though, no matter how well you're cleaning your oil, you're going to be losing some viscosity. Even if you're taking all your suspension out, there's going to be some degradation of the oil, especially if you're not using a full synthetic. And of course, that's a factor as well. But let's just go with, if you're just running straight conventional oil in a truck, I've never taken one of my trucks over 10,000 miles on a conventional, and I've never taken one of my trucks over 20,000 on a full synthetic, and that's with centrifuges, because oil is cheap, right? Oil is inexpensive. But on that note, I have customers that I interact with that run their oil 60,000 miles that have oil bypass systems, and I'll tell you what, when I'm doing maintenance on their trucks, their engines look fucking great. They look fucking great. All the opportunities I've had to be around engines that have bypass systems on them, I'm a believer. I'll tell you that. I'm a believer for sure. The oil bypass system is an amazing system. If you want to increase the longevity of your valve train and stuff like that, just your wear components, that's where it's at for sure. When will you be opening the shop again for in frames? I'll be, this probably isn't the place to make announcements like that, but it's possible that we may never open it for in frames again. Our intent and our end goal is to become a custom engine shop where we do nothing but build engines for purchase. And if we do transition to that, let me rephrase that. When we transition to that, that's why we have the engine dyno and all these things that we're doing. When we make that transition, we probably still will allow people to bring us their engine to have it built, but it will all be standardized. If you want to bring us an engine, then we will insist on building it to the same qualifications of the engines that we're currently have for sale, because we want to set a bar and we want to hold the bar there. I'm building an engine right now, for example. I don't know if you guys follow me. You possibly also follow Excalibur. I sent a kit to Excalibur. He balanced it for me, made it perfect. The man made it dead nuts. I mean, he sent me videos of everyone. That guy is so anal, which I admire. Yeah, I couldn't do that, right? I couldn't sit there and get 6 rods, 6 crowns, and 6 wrist pins, all within less than a margin of error of a gram within each other. I got to give the guy some props. I mean, you're not going to find that kind of patience in me. I would have thrown the rod across the shop at some point there. There ain't no way in hell. But he did it. It took him a week or so, and he got me a kit all done up, and he's sending it back to me. I'm coding that kit. We're going to get it all coded out, and we're going to build one of our 640 builds with it. We're coding all of the valves. We actually coded the valves today. We're coding the cam bushings, everything. The turbo's coated inside and out. We have our new titanium 170 170 145 or 78 millimeter 145 titanium ceramic coated inside and out, ceramic manifold. It's all going to be our product line that's coming out. Super excited about it, and we're going to build the most premium engine that has ever come off the line. And Tim helped us out with that. That's pretty cool. So we're going to have a perfectly balanced kit, everything coated, everything top of the line, everything premium. And we're hoping that we're going to use that engine as our very first engine on our engine dyno. And we're going to see how sick that thing actually is. Hey, if you're looking for ends, Diesel Brothers is selling their engines. Guys, I made a video a couple days ago where I was talking about how we're buying engine cores. Oh, we got 4 callers. We're about to start taking some callers here in a minute. Hey, guys that are hanging out online, give me a minute. I'll get right to you. But that video got 1.5 million views. We had over 2,000 people get a hold of us with engines for sale. I want to thank everybody that did get a hold of us. It is impossible for us to get back to everybody. I need a cholesterol bypass filter. Yeah, no shit, right? It's impossible for us to get back to everybody. We got back to about 200 people. For anybody that did reach out to us and we didn't get a hold of you, we're sorry. We want to talk to everybody that has engines for sale. We did buy an insane amount. We're trying to get to 200. I think we're pretty close. The old lady said we're basically out of money, so she shut me off. I can't buy any more engines until we re-money up. So I'll make another video once we're moneyed up again, and we'll buy engines. I bought some engines from Worldwide Diesel. I bought engines from all over the place. It was kind of fun, but anybody that reached out to us with an engine for sale and we didn't get back to you, you'll get another chance. We're gonna make another video and talk to everybody about that again. Too bad you couldn't coat liners. In fact, brother, that has been something that we've talked about quite a bit, is coating the liners to make sure to protect from cavitational erosion. That has been a conversation that's been had many times. The thing about that, though, is your modern day coolants already do that job. So there's really no reason to coat the liner. You certainly couldn't coat the inside of the liner because the kind of coatings that I use, that would be counterintuitive. The liner would immediately have blowby because the Teflon that we use, it would just blast right past. It works way too good for that. So you got to have that crosshatch, that grit in there for it to operate correctly. So Duralite is rumored to be poor quality and looking for someone who makes one that's the OEM quit making. I don't know what you're talking about, brother. Anyway, guys, we probably better take a caller here. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Make sure it's even working. Hello, you're on the air, brother. Mark.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, man.
Yeah, how's it going, man? Go ahead, man. Hey, so I've been really wanting to talk to you about stuff because I've seen some of your videos, and you're like one of the only guys I feel like I could really trust. So I've got a 2009 T800. It's got a Cat C13 in it. I'm having emissions issues. I'll try to give you like a quick rundown. It was D-rate, doing all kinds of dumb stuff. I took it to a shop. And so one of the other problems the truck has is so whenever you turn the Jake brake on, it kicks on the check engine light. And I'm really not too worried about that. I mean, the Jake brake works. But I took it to the shop and I told them the check engine light's on, the regen light's blinking, I'm getting derated. And, what should I do? I'm like, I need this stuff fixed, whatever on the emissions it needs done. Well, they had the truck for 4 months. And they sent the ECM out to CAT to look at they were basically looking at all the wrong stuff. I told them I needed the after treatment stuff fixed so my truck can run. And they basically ran up a bill up to like $6,500. They did say they put like a Venturi tube on it or something that they found had a hole in it. But they did a bunch of stuff. They might have fixed some little things here and there. Ran it up to $6,500. I had to pay it to get the truck back, but I lost on like 4 months of just sitting and get the truck back. I ran it for a week and a half and it started derating on me. And they told me, they're like, well, we're sorry. It ran when it left here. So I'm still pretty sour about that. But I took it to another shop who I actually trust a little bit more. He's a local guy. And they right away, they told me they're like, the DPF filter's clogged. And so I'm like, all right. And they're like, well, we can get one. It's going to be like $5,000. So I actually purchased one myself and I installed it myself to save a little money. And I'm pretty confident I did it all right. They even looked at it. They, as far as I know, they didn't say I did anything wrong. So I put the new filter on. I also put a new module on there that has the temp sensors and the pressure sensors that sits on top of the filter. And I'm just to the point now where it's continuously derating on me. I have everybody and their brother telling me to delete the truck. And I like the fact of fixing it right. I like seeing some of your videos where you're like, you're not a fan of deleting, and I'm with you on that. And I guess my thing is like, what should I do now? Because now I down again, and the truck's in the shop tomorrow.
You know what the beautiful thing is about those check engine lights that you have?
What's that?
It tells you exactly what to fix.
What's that? Say that again.
Tells you exactly what you need to fix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's the thing. So right now the truck's saying DPF secondary mass airflow.
Okay.
And that's what it's saying. And they're thinking that's the sensor on the ARD head or something, I guess.
Okay, so you have Cat C13 LEE. For the people that don't know, that is the last Cat that's an 09, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Okay, it's the last Cat made for on-highway trucks. And it is a little bit of a after treatment nightmare. As far as deleting it, obviously I can't advise you to do that on here, right? Or I wouldn't advise you to do that anyway, but obviously I can't advise you to do that, right? But I know plenty of people that have those that are not deleted. But you know, I don't know what kind of shop you're at, brother, but long story short, your problem comes with check engine lights. So if it comes with check engine lights, there is a process in the manual that tells you exactly how to address that problem. So if the shop that you're at is grasping at straws and talking about what they're going to throw at it, you probably need to go to a shop that doesn't fucking suck.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm still pretty fucking pissed at the guys that ran up the $6,500 bill and it still wasn't working. And
Right.
I took it to this other shop who,
and
they're so far they're doing everything right.
Okay. So what's the problem?
And I guess my problem is in the past month, I've got 13 grand in this truck. And between the bill from the first shop and the DPF filter I threw on it, and now we're still chasing sensors and bullshit. What point do I just feel like? What point do I just?
I don't know. That's kind of my point. Is you have check engine lights. So to give you an example, even in the paper manual, let alone the other resources available to shops like ET and stuff like that, or SIS rather. Sorry. Your book, so to speak, has a whole reference guide for any check engine light that you has that has the possible, the probable, and all the causes and the procedure and process for fixing it. Now, if I was going to pull something out of my ass and take a guess, my guess is the reason you're having a reoccurring after treatment problem that won't go away no matter what people do to it is because that particular engine has a type of catalytic converter in the exhaust system itself, and they are probably clogged up. That's probably what's going on.
So not the DPF filter.
That's right.
Separate
after the DPF filter.
Okay.
But
I guess.
But you'd have to you have to default to the shop that's there. They're the ones looking at if you have check engine lights, nobody should. Here's the thing: if you have a check engine light for X problem, anything that's being done to that thing that doesn't revolve around getting rid of that check engine light, you're getting ripped off. And until you cure that problem, you can't move on to the next problem until you have cured that problem. So if you have after treatment sensor blah 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 isn't working, and we're changing 4 or 5 other parts and haven't taken care of the check engine light, what are we doing?
Right. I hear you on that. I guess my other question is what's the chances that we fix this sensor or whatever that they think it is now, and then it's just something else, and then it's something else, and then it just keeps going?
I can't answer that, man.
Right.
All right. I mean, basically, kind of what you're asking me is, should I just delete it, right? And that's the question I can't answer here.
Yeah.
That's a decision.
I appreciate it.
That's a decision that you have to make. All right, brother. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Bye. All right, guys. Yeah, if you want to hear the caller, like Diesel Beast is saying, you got to come over here to Facebook or YouTube, where we're streaming live, and you can hear the caller. It's much more interactive. Yeah, YouTube is awesome. Whatever your real name is, you're right. The DPF filtered SDP, so to speak, or LEE doesn't have the catalytic converter. You're right about that. But I mean, the guy has after treatment issues. It kind of is what it is. Where do you get all the cool shirts? Offline. Hey, my brother's on here. What up, D? Daniel Bennett. I called you the other night, you jerk. You didn't answer. Would love to get you to New Zealand and show you how we do it. How you do what? Hey, speaking of New Zealand, your next door neighbors, the Aussies. I'm sending somebody from Australia a complete kit. Oil cooler, oil pump, water pump, dampener. Crazy thing is, it's $4,000 in shipping. And we did the conversion and all that. He's gonna save money ordering parts from me all the way to Australia. Can you believe that? That just blows my fucking mind. I can send parts all the way across the world and give somebody a better deal than they can get locally. That just hurts my fucking brain. Just hurts my brain. You know, I don't know if it'd be the same for you Kiwis, but probably. Anyway, guys, the number to call in is 573-422-4225. I was enjoying the comment section thing, but there's quite a few people online, so we better run through them here. Sean, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
So I've got a 60 series Detroit 12.7 liter. The Jake brakes only engage when I press the brake pedal. So like, it's not like when you let off the throttle.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was like a programming thing or...
Yeah, it's called, your Jake setting is on latch. You got to go have somebody change it. Yep. It's easy to change.
That is pretty much all I had.
All right, brother. Good luck.
All right.
Yep.
What program or what?
You got to find somebody that knows what they're doing. They're just going to change it from latch to, I can't remember what it is, but when it's on the latch setting, it will only work when you push the brake. That's something really easy to change. Really easy fix.
Gotcha.
Somebody shouldn't be spending more than 15 minutes hooked up to your truck.
I gotcha. Because everybody that I talk to acts like they don't know what I'm talking about, or they don't know if their program will do it.
No, you don't need to. Don't let somebody reprogram your whole fucking truck. And you get some idiot in there and reprogram. Yeah, that's stupid. No, in the program that you have, somebody can change that setting, no problem in the parameters. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye. Okay. Yeah, it's just a factory setting. Oh, it's really cool to have my brother in here. C16, do you work on them? Of course we work on a C16, man. It's just the same as all the rest of the cats. There's nothing special about them. What was your CB handle when you were trucking in Alaska? I don't think CB handles are a thing, man. I mean, they used to be, obviously, but not during my time. I'm not old enough guy to be from the era when people had a handle, you know. That's something from the long past. You know, when the amount of owner operators run in the United States, you could, you know, kind of put them all on one load board. You know, but that time's long gone, and nobody has a CB handle. But that's kind of funny that you would ask me that. That's amusing to me. Anyway, no name for this caller. Air pressure and the system on the ISX. Hey, Daniel, hang out a little. You can help me answer some of these complicated ISX questions that I don't always know the answer to. Hello, you're on the air, man. Jared.
How you doing, Aaron?
Good, man. What can I do for you?
Yes, sir. I got a buddy of mine. He's in a 2019, I believe it's an X15 Cummins motor, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, he had some troubles going on. He called you a while back about a transmission issue he was having. And he got into the shop, and I guess it wasn't a transmission. But when they took the transmission down and inspected all the gears and whatnot, put it back together, they left an air pocket in the coolant system. So he was driving it. It burped out some coolant, and then I guess they did like the lashing or something on his valves and tightened some things up. And he's having that issue he was talking to you about. Obviously, you're not going to remember, but when it shifts down from like fifth gear, now it's doing it in every gear. When it's shifting with the Jake brakes on, and he'll go to turn it off. When it gets to a lower gear, like coming up to a stop, he'll shut his jakes off, and it does like a grinding noise, like a real bad, like grinding vibration noise. They were telling him that it could have been something in the engine. Do you have any idea what it could be in the engine?
Is it an automatic?
Yes, sir.
It's not in the engine. You don't grind as you're coming to a stop on the engine, and the way that an engine works is the mechanical components of the engine are working at all times, right? Transmission, you have different mechanical. Yes, it is an automatic for the people asking. Your mechanics in your transmission, for example, can all be working at different times. So you could be grinding on your transmission as you come to a stop because you're switching into that gear set on the transmission, so to speak. But your engine would be grind all the time. There's no fucking way in hell that it only grinds when you're coming to a stop because you're engaging a certain part of the engine that is for the slower speeds, right? You get what I'm saying? That's nonsensical. It doesn't even make sense.
Right.
It's not the engine.
I think basically what he's saying is, I don't know, the way he's explained it to me is like when it first started happening, it was at like he noticed when it was slowing down, but at a specific gear. But now that they like adjusted his valves or whatever, he's saying that it's making it every time it shifts.
It's not related. Them adjusting his valve has nothing to do with it grinding in every gear as he slows down.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to.
All right. Well, I guess you're just gonna have to throw the checkbook at it.
Yeah, that transmission's fucked.
Yeah, it's kind of that's what you were telling him last time. Synchros are bad or whatever in the transmission. I told him just replace the fucking thing, but he's could have replaced it for $6,500, $7,000. He spent $2,200 on somebody tearing into it twice now, so he's pretty much almost out of brand new transmission.
Yep. Sounds like the typical story we hear on here. God damn.
Right on.
All right.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Darren. I appreciate your time, boss.
Yep. Good night, man. Have a good luck.
All right, buddy.
Said that all backwards. I meant to say good luck, have a good night, and I said good night, have a good luck. Maybe I need to go to bed. What's the safe max RPM to run Jakes on a CM2350 ISX? I'm not sure. What about you, Daniel? What's the highest you can let those ISXs jake off at before you're really stressing them out? I mean, I know on a cat, people might argue this with me, but anything above 1600 on the cat's really fucking hard on them. And it's not uncommon to see fractured rocker arms on a cat that has been jaked off above 1600. Anything above 2100 is bad. Jeez, I don't know about that. 2150 for your jakes. We're talking about letting the jakes come on. I don't know about that. That seems too high. But I could be wrong. I don't know everything. Did he already comment on the Switchblade turbos? Nope, I've not commented on Switchblade turbos, which is not surprising because I have never used a Switchblade turbo. So I try not to comment on things that I'm completely ignorant of, and just sit here and pretend like I know. Everybody's saying 22,000 RPMs on the Jake, so maybe that seems excessively high, but it is what it is. Arthur, you're on the air, brother. What can I do for you?
Yes, sir. I know you don't want to go down this road probably on the call. You went on, that was me asked the question about the in-frames when you guys are opening back up.
Oh,
I don't have anything on paper, but I called you guys because I'm waiting to get this truck that needs the in-frame that I was going to drive down to you. So how does that work when you need? So I got the quote. And nothing in writing.
Just
to get some idea.
If the gals in the office gave you a quote, I kind of yelled at them today because I found out today that they'd put like 5 or 6 more people on our board. Like, what are you doing? We're not putting people on our board.
Yeah. No, it's nothing on paper. Nothing on paper though, so I don't want you to misunderstand. It's
No.
I you told me what the ballpark is.
I told the girls to close out anybody that they had that they were in limbo with. So I mean, if you're gonna finish out what you're doing with them, then finish it out. But the girls in the office there, man, they have a better handle on where we're at, time frame, and all that kind of stuff than I do. My whole thing is even when the girls are telling people, hey, we're 12 or 14 weeks out, you know, and they're being super upfront that we're way out, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter once a person's had their truck here for 8 weeks or something, they start bitching at you, right? Even though they were told it's X amount of time. And I just can't stand it, man. I can't stand 65 people calling me, asking me when I'm going to get their truck yet. So it's better just to cut it off for a month, get all caught up. You know, we never get all the way caught up. But our whole thing is we're trying to transition into, you know, we're trying to transition over to just doing custom engines anyhow. So, I mean, we may, you know, depends on how it works out. We may not open back up for in-frames ever again. You guys have to realize, in-frame takes up the most space because you have to have the entire truck in the shop. So we take up 8,000 square feet here to be able to fit the amount of in-frames that we do here. If I stop doing in-frames, I get back 8,000 square foot. So I can use that to separate the two sides of my shop, one for teardown and one for assembly. And I can have a lot cleaner and more controlled environment. And that would be really cool to have. And I can always go back.
Yeah, I understand that.
If it doesn't work out for us, we can.
It's just for. Yeah. And I was more so thinking about because I'm trying to get the money together for the ballpark that I was given. Again, it's not on paper, but how does that work? Because I still want you to do the work, whether it's
you'd have to call. You'd have to call the girls, man. They do that.
Okay.
The girls set all that up.
I'll do that.
I try to do the minimal amount of thinking that I can.
I hear you.
All right, brother.
All right. Well, either way, I'll be down there. I appreciate it.
Have a good night and good luck with whatever you decide to do.
You too.
That's one thing that so many business owners have a problem with is they're not willing to delegate. No, I do not have that problem. I delegate as much as I possibly can. You have to remember that my brother says most of my firsthand experience has been higher than 1,800 jakes on a Cummins starts knocking on the camshaft. You don't gain anything and hold back at that higher RPM. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. You know, your cat's the same way. You're not jaking harder at 1,800 than you are at 1,600, for sure. Anyhow, that makes sense to me. If I owned a Cummins, I probably wouldn't let him come on over 1,800 either. You know, it's harder on the camshaft, and you're not gaining anything, so why do it? That makes a lot of sense. I think I could agree with that assessment, brother man. The Jake is a tool, not a toy. I don't know about that. I've had a lot of fun with Jakes. What famous person do people say you look like? Oh, Jason Statham. Everybody says it. Pretty consistently. Oh, we got Matt Whipple in here. I think Daniel and Matt both know each other due to bees, honeybees, and whatnot. That's not who I was thinking of. Well, who are you thinking of, man? Just say it. Who do I look like to you? You know what famous person I actually look like? Aaron Bennett. Nah. Oh, God. You can't remember her name. All right, we better take some more callers. Man, I was going to say something. I fucking forgot what it was. Oh, yeah, delegating. That's what I was talking about. You know, time's the only commodity we can't make more of. I can kind of put effort into making any other commodity for myself. Time's the only one I can't. So you got to learn to delegate and allocate your time where it is most useful. So The more things I can delegate, the better, for sure. Dylan, you got a cat with some blow-by. What's going on, brother? How can we help you?
How's it going, Aaron? We're doing all right out here.
Good, man. Hit me with it.
We've got a 3406. I think it's an E model. It's in a 96 Pete, and it's my buddy's truck. And he says every time he's pulling a grade with any amount of load on, if he runs it within parameters up towards, the top end, not really working it hard, he says it's still under 200 degrees on the coolant gauge. And he says he looks behind him and there's a lot of smoke. And the only thing we can figure is it's coming out of the blowby tube. And we've been hauling grain lately. When he stops the scale, you can see, I don't know, maybe an inch in diameter puddle of motor oil. And the truck's been gone through and redone recently. Is there anything we're missing?
You're just blowing black smoke? Everything?
No, it's out of like the crankcase breather.
Oh, yeah. My brother asked what the first thing that came to my mind when you were talking there. And what I should have led with was what you said top end. Define top end.
Anywhere from 15 to 1800 RPMs, but still keeping it, within parameters, not working it to where it gets hot.
Sure. So in my opinion, no cat should ever be taken over 1600 unless maybe the exception would be a 3406B. There's guys that will argue with that, and they can argue that all they want. I owned cats for a long time, see how bad it stresses out the valve train. And in all the manuals that Cat provides, they recommend 1600 being your top as well.
Even that.
But long story short, the answer to your question is if you are experiencing a lot of excessive blow-by, but it only seems to be when you're under load. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, we picked the truck up in Kansas and drove it all the way home to Nevada. And when there's no load, I mean, it runs perfect, and there's like zero blow-by.
Yep.
And the guy we bought it on kind of hacked up the reman, we think, and then he hurried up and sold it, probably over his head. And we got it, hooked it up.
I can tell you what's going on. Sorry to interrupt, but we don't really need to know all that other stuff, right? So what's going on is under load, which means under boost, the combustion gas straight past the rings right into the crankcase. That means one of a couple of scenarios have happened. It was wet stacked really bad and completely washed the liners out. Number two, it has eaten dust really bad and it's completely dusted out. Number three, it has over a million. It was recently rebuilt and it wasn't broke in properly, and the liners are glazed. So you're either glazed, washed, dusted, or wore out. One of the four. Okay. And in that scenario, it won't have blow-by when it's just settling. And then once you get under load and you have pressure on top of the piston crown, which is boost pressure, it will just shoot right past the rings. So you probably at bare minimum, you need to throw a re-ring kit at it, break it in properly, and everything will be fine.
Okay. Now, I've heard different theories and different scenarios on breaking them in. My shop, when I did mine, they told me to run it, up and down, full range RPMs, jake it, and do it all under, if you're pulling a big heavy trailer so that it's letting that in. That's a good theory.
No, not necessarily. It's not. What's a good theory? This is how it works. If you want to break in an engine properly, you have to get the engine up to the highest temperature that you can while it's under load. Has nothing to do with jakes, has nothing to do with varying the RPMs, none of that. You want to be in the highest gear you can possibly pull a hill in with a good load, and get it under load, boost pressure, just like we're talking about. That way your rings are being forced at the maximum amount against the outside of the cylinder wall, and it needs to be happening when it's hot. So the good rule of thumb is if you pulled a hill in succession and your engine fan has come on 4 or 5 times, 6 or 7 times, something like that, when you were under load working that thing, you're done. Go home for the day. She's broke in.
Okay, so that's all it takes. It's not like a 5 or 10,000 mile. As soon as you get it good and hot, if you know.
Build, we take it out and we will run it with a loaded trailer, and that's our goal, is at least 5 times, engine fan cycling on its own under load. And if we can't, we'll use the brake if we have to give it more load to make that engine fan come on while it's working its little ass off. From there, we tell our customers, expect to consume some oil for the first 10,000 miles. Don't bug us about your oil consumption till you're on your second oil change, and we're going into the 20,000 miles, right? Because it'll lose a little oil, blow a little oil out, this and that. So there's still a break-in process, but what you're trying to avoid is that glazed liner. That is determined in the first 50 miles. If you're going to have glazed liners, it's going to happen in the first 50 miles. So that's the most crucial time frame where you are knocking the ridges off of your liner crosshatch and rolling those over into the valleys. So you have perfect valleys for oil to sit in, which builds a cushion for the piston rings to ride on. That's what you're looking for. That is done under load when pulling, under load with heat. That's how that's done. And you have 50 miles to get it done, right? Once you do that, you have a whole break-in process that has nothing to do with the most crucial part, right? Stuff is seating together, stuff's getting wore in, all that kind of shit. That's in your first 10,000 miles. Trucks don't even start to get good fuel mileage on an overhaul until they got 30, 40, 50,000 miles on them, right? They'll get better fuel mileage the more miles you put on them, because they just continue to break in and everything seats perfectly and all of that. But what we're talking about when we say break in an engine, we're talking about that first 50 miles, whether or not you're going to have a liner that forever passes combustion gas down into the crankcase and causes you an oil consumption and oil degradation problem. Make sense?
Yeah, no, that clarifies a lot, and it has just been gone through. And is there any chance that maybe it's still setting everything up? Your comment about don't bug you until oil, you're with the oil consumption questions and issues.
No.
Could we still be in that stage? I don't think he's got 5,000 miles on it.
No, you're talking about something totally different. Under load, you are pushing oil out of your crankcase tube. That means that you are putting somewhere in the realm of 18 to 25 CFM into the crankcase for that to happen. Your engine's fucked.
Okay, so we probably glazed the liners because it's just been redone, like not even 5,000 miles ago.
Yeah, probably sat around and idled. I mean, I'll give you a great. Here's a true story. Okay, let me give you a true story, and this is a good story for everyone to hear, so it doesn't get repeated. Okay, and for the guys on hold on the phone, I'll get to you. We'll wrap this up here in just a minute. I rebuilt an engine probably 2 years ago. Did a custom job. One of our 600. We call them the Canadian build, 14-liter Detroit. We built this engine for the guy. He came, we put it in the truck. We took it out. We did the break-in process, and we handed it over to him. And we told him, that what we tell everybody, don't idle it for the first 10,000 miles if you can help it, and blah, blah, blah. Just all the things we tell guys. And he went from our shop to another TikTok famous guy's shop, which I won't name. And he wanted that guy to do a bunch of other work to it, like put lights on it and do a bunch of to it. Well, when he arrived there with the truck, that guy said he was going to pull it in right away. So just leave it running. And that guy took his wife and they went and got a hotel. Well, that guy never pulled it in, and he let it sit there and idle all night. In the morning, they sent me pictures of underneath the truck. There was a puddle underneath the truck the size of a car, and that was from diesel fuel wet stacking in that brand new engine and just flooding out of the exhaust manifold. Okay, they absolutely destroyed the engine, and that engine had been broke in. We broke that engine in. A brand new engine will wet stack way faster than an engine that has been broke in. And if you do wet stack a brand new engine, it's fucked. It's done. That engine was ruined. It had massive blowby. It was just shooting blowby out of the tube. That guy destroyed his truck, right? He didn't have 50 miles on it. Well, had about 100 miles on it. We put about 50 on it and gave it to him, and he drove it about 50 miles away to another guy's shop, and it just got destroyed by that guy. So can you ruin your engine post break-in? Yes. All you're doing in that pre-break-in is taking the ridges on your liners and folding them over. That's all you're doing.
Okay. All right. Well, really appreciate the insight, Aaron. It's not the news we were expecting, but we do appreciate it, and we thank you for your time.
All right, brother, man. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too.
Yep. Bye. Explain what wet stack is. Wet stack is when your engine is sitting there running. It usually happens at an idle. It doesn't have to be at an idle, though. And that is where the engine will drop below operating temperature. And once a diesel engine is below operating temperature, it cannot combust all of the fuel. And so it'll start to push it out of the exhaust system because it has to go somewhere. And that's what wet stacking is. So the problem is as your piston crown is going up and down in the liner and that diesel fuel on top isn't getting burned, it's coating the sides of the liner. Okay, well, your cooling jet from the bottom, its entire job is to coat that liner with oil. Because if you think about it, your rings are tight in the bore and they technically touch the liner, but they don't actually touch. Now, imagine if those rings actually touched the liner as that piston went up and down, it would completely eat the liner alive. There'd be nothing left of the liner. If you ran it for 15 seconds, it would completely destroy the engine. Once you get it under load and there's boost pressure, that boost pressure is the rings are actually designed to grab that boost pressure and push out against the cylinder wall. So they're pushing incredibly hard against the cylinder wall and they're not getting ate up. Well, the only reason they're not getting ate up is because of the crosshatch in your liner has filled with oil and it creates a cushion that those rings actually ride on a cushion of oil. Well, if you have diesel fuel on top that is coating it as well, anybody that knows anything knows that diesel fuel is not a lubricant. It is an incredible solvent, though. You could use it like brake clean. One of those things is going to lose out. Well, the diesel fuel, especially if it's wet stacking hard enough, the diesel fuel ends up winning the battle and your rings will hit the liner and make contact. Once it makes contact, it takes all of that crosshatch out. It just wipes them out. And now you have a completely smoothed out bore and your now your rings do not seal as they're blasting out. And that boost pressure goes straight past the rings, straight into the crankcase, and you have massive blowby. Hey, you don't have to sit in, Daniel. My brother said he'd like to come here and sit in. That would be a great show. My brother is many years on the haul road trucker. Has rebuilt many engines. Just a wealth of knowledge. I'd love to get him on this show, but you don't have to be here in the studio, Dan. If you watch this at all, we have lots of guests. We just stream them in. You just got to have a good laptop or something. We can get you on the show from right where you're at. So we'll have to talk about that soon. You know, what's funny is you would think the most wet stacking that I have ever seen would all be when I was in Alaska. And actually, the opposite is true. Wet stacking has been more prevalent in the state of Texas than anywhere I have ever been. We get more trucks from Texas that have been destroyed by wet stacking than any state that I've ever been in. And statistically, your industrial engines are more prone to wet stacking problems in states like Texas than they are in northern states as well. Your industrial engines are actually suffer more from wet stacking, especially generators that don't get put under load often enough. Generators will wet stack and get ruined all the time. The reason is because your people that live in the north are so much more constant keeping their engines warm, keeping everything up to operating temperature, where your people, guys in Texas, it's like it's hotter than shit all the time. And they don't think about it. They don't think about winter fronts and belly tarps and parking out of the wind and this and that. And we see way more engines getting ruined in these southern hot states than we ever saw in the northern states. And that's because you guys got to realize it doesn't matter if it's 110 outside. The engine needs to be 200 degrees, not 110, right? At 110 outside on the hottest day, woo-wee, it's a hot day. Well, that engine doesn't think it's a hot day, right? The engine 160 degrees, your engine's killing itself. So, what temperature does wet stacking start? Pretty much, you're in danger of wet stacking an engine that is under 180 degrees. So under 180 degrees, it's not getting full combustion. You are stacking fuel. When you start getting into those 160s, 150s, that's the major danger zone. All right, guys, let's take another caller here real quick. Sorry. My brain's going everywhere. I'm reading comments here, reading comments there, trying to take a caller. Doc, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, Aaron, I love what you do, man. Keep up the good work. I got a brand new 25 W9 with an 18 speed, and in 15, 16, it rattles. It's driving me nuts. I saw you did a video on something similar to this, and for the life of me, I can't remember what you were talking about. But is there something that I could? This is a brand new truck, 37,700 miles, and that it's just all the other gears. I don't have that problem, but 15, 16, it just rattles to beat hell.
Brother, if it's a brand new truck, why are you talking to anybody except for the dealership?
Well, it's weeks to get in to have anything looked at for warranty wise, and I mean, is this something that I definitely? I mean, I need to get it looked at. I realize that, but I was really hoping maybe you had some kind of suggestion that it was something freaking simple that I didn't have to wait 3 flipping days to have a tech look at it. Because obviously, if I shut the truck down for a week over something simple,
I mean, yeah. Well, that's too. I mean, that's a little too hard to guess, man, because your truck's brand fucking new, right?
I know, and that's probably what's driving me more crazy than anything about the whole situation. Other than the fact that I have to listen to it, it just irritates the hell out of me.
Right. I mean that
and of course, this brand new truck, and it's supposed to have this quiet cab, and the doors. I have to tweak the doors on it to get them to seal. So obviously, there's
sounds like
issues with manufacturing, and I get it. No, it's a beautiful truck. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just these little things for what I paid for this truck is really irritating. But
right. I mean,
I do love the truck.
Kind of the way I'd feel about it is I could buy an old Freightliner and have all them problems.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of expect the wind to blow. You kind of expect the wind to blow through an old Freightliner. It's an old Freightliner.
Sure. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to. I mean, you don't have any miles on it. I mean, I really have no business trying to help you figure out what's going on with a truck that, because all of my guesses are going to be things that most likely aren't it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Well, like I said, I just really hated to have to spend 3 days in a waiting to get into a shop because everybody's backed up, and you understand that.
Sure, I mean, but the comment sections are full of stuff, like the possible ride height, gear train rattle, roll the window down an inch, for your doors. But
turn the stereo up.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, now that cures problems. But anyway, brother, yeah, I mean, but really, it's too new for people to just be. Everybody's just going to be pulling guesses out of their ass. So anyway, good luck with it, brother.
Yeah, I really figured I was going to have to make a visit to Kenworth. So, but I appreciate what you do, brother. Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
All right, we still got five people on hold. Guys, we have a whole nother hour here. I will get to your call if you do hang on. But I am taking advantage of not having anybody here with me in the studio and trying to be in the comment sections as much as I can. John Miller says I run an APU on my truck so I don't have to idle. Guys, APU is probably the best investment you can ever make for your truck. I would agree with that 100%. Right behind it is a oil bypass system. Get an oil bypass system, get an APU. I don't give shit what engine you have in your truck. You're getting 1,000,000 miles out of it. Unless you're just a complete jackass or very unlucky. What's your best advice for rebuilding an N14 or 6NZ? My boss farms, and that's all he prefers to run. What do you mean? No, I mean, that question's a little too vague, brother. What's my best advice? Okay. Yeah, I'll give you my best advice. And this is honestly, I think, is going to be the best piece of advice anybody's ever going to give you. If you're talking about rebuilding an N14 or 6NZ yourself or your boss, the best piece of advice anybody can give you is go get the fucking manual. Go on YouTube or eBay, rather, sorry, and look up service manual for those models and get the service manual. And the second best piece of advice I can give you is don't listen to what anybody else says or suggests or recommends. Just do exactly what that service manual tells you to do. Quick serve is free. Yep, you can use quick serve as well. For the N14, the Cat, you'd probably want to get a manual. I prefer using paper. I have all the N14s in paperback as well. All the guys here use quick serve. Anytime I'm messing with an N14 or something like that, I'm in the book. I'm not big on the quick serve thing, but it is an available free service that is very, very useful. And they do keep it updated for sure. Didn't want to shut down your brand new truck. Yeah, man, it's really hard to come on here and get everyone to feel sorry for you with your brand new truck with 3,000 miles on it. The old woe is me. Everyone's like, don't you have fucking warranty? But I get it, man. I mean, having warranty isn't all it's cracked up to be when it takes you 3 months to get something done. Chris, you're on the air, man. What can we do for you?
Hey, man, good to finally talk to you. This is my first time ever calling in. So I have a couple of medium-duty Hino 268 box trucks. I don't know if you're very familiar with them, but they have inline-6 J08 diesel motors. And one of them, they're basically twin trucks. They're only 1 year apart in manufacturing, and I bought them from the same fleet. But one of them gets 10.8 miles a gallon, and the other one sits at about 9.2. And the 9.2 one drives fine and everything, pulls just as hard as the other one and stuff, but it definitely consumes a ton more diesel every night whenever we drive it. And I'm not too sure what that would be. Would you maybe think I need to go get like my DPF filters and stuff baked and cleaned, or how would you maybe think I should go about this?
Well, I mean, if you're not throwing any, I don't know anything about that engine at all. Let me clarify that first. Okay.
Wasn't too sure. So,
but that doesn't change the fact that it's a diesel engine that goes suck and boom, right? Yep. And as far as your DPF goes, it's kind of unlikely that that's your problem. You're not showing any signs for it, or at least I'm assuming that. Yep. The first thing I would find out is somebody, God damn it, somebody just said it in the comment section right before I could say it. The first thing I would do is swap your drivers around and see if the problem follows the driver. That'd be the first thing I'd do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, whenever I drove it, I was able to feather foot it up to like 9.6 or something, but it was still over a full mile a gallon less than what the other ones pull.
Well, maybe
so
you drive harder
than
the guy driving that one, brother. I mean,
sorry, don't cut out a little bit.
I said maybe that other driver is consistently better than everybody else, including you. I'm just.
Well, the phone's cutting out, Aaron.
I said maybe that other driver is consistently better than everybody, including you. I think, did you die? Are we still alive? Oh, boy.
It's cutting out.
Well, I don't know what to do about that, brother. Can you hear me?
I cannot.
No, well, shit. How about in the comment section? Can you hear me? I think that was all on his end. Anyway, guys, if you're watching on TikTok, we certainly appreciate all the people on there. Quite a few people on there. If you want to hear the call, or you go over to YouTube or Facebook. Facebook's probably preferable. Over there, you can hear the caller, and it's much more interactive. We do appreciate you. My truck shakes at 10,000 RPMs. What can it be? Jesus Christ. Probably the fact you're taking your truck up to 10,000 RPMs would be the problem. I'm hoping you mean 1,000 RPMs, but anyway, if you guys want to call into the show, and we're going to get back to the callers here in just a second. The number to call in is 573-422-4225. That's 573-422-4225 if you want to be part of the show. Of course, you're always welcome to be in the comment sections as well. Daniel Ben, I've been watching this guy, and it can be done right. Well, a lot of hearts have to be changed, and also, let's see. What are we asking here? What are we asking? Oh, well, I'll let you guys hash that out in the comment section. I'll stay out of it. No, you weren't being annoying, brother. It just for some reason your phone wasn't working on your end. Zane Bishop, brother, you're on the air. What can we do for you?
Hey, how's it going?
Amazing, man. What can we do for you?
So I'm in this whole deal with this local shop around here. I had them do 2 cams in a 570 Signature, and I put 6,000 miles on it, and I started losing some oil pressure, so I cut my oil filter open, and it was slammed full of bearing material. And they also put cam bearings in it. So first, I guess, obviously, I'm going to make them pay for it, and everything. But they want to pull the whole motor out and do an out-of-frame and the whole 9 yards. And we looked at the crank. The crank appears to be good. I think the filter caught it all, but they're worried about other bearing material in the motor. If you were in this situation, what would you do?
What engine was it again?
Dual cam, Cummins.
And what? I probably should have listened better the first time.
So,
what happened to it?
So I paid them to put 2 cams in it, an ejector cam, a valve cam, and cam bearings.
Mm-hmm.
And the cam bearings have come apart because they didn't freeze them; they drove them in, is what I think.
Okay, so first
and
of all, slow down. You don't need to freeze bearings. That's a myth. And now I'm guilty of it. I used to have a freezer in my shop just to freeze bearings, but it's not required, and it's not necessary. Not only is it not required, it's not necessary. At all.
Okay.
It's not necessary at all. What is necessary is to have the proper tooling to put bearings in. Did the bearings spin?
I think one of them did, but honestly, when I pulled the valve cover off and looked, it looks like they're like cracked out and little chunks have come out of them. You know, we haven't pulled the cams out of it yet, but one of them looks like it's spun because it's about halfway out of the housing on the injector cam. But all the other ones are pushed out the sides, almost like materials come out either side of them, and they're cracked out or whatever.
That sounds like some kind of an installation error to me, brother.
Yeah, for sure. But that's water underneath the bridge at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a motor that you would pull out to clean up, or do you think you could in-frame it if the crank was good?
I mean, probably would be fine. You don't have a lot of things like your later models, like your 22 and 2350. If this was a 22 or 2350, I would probably advise you to go as far as you could with it. Your 870, 871 is just not doesn't have as many critical parts that are getting that are relying on oil, metal-free oil. You'd probably be okay. Be honest with you. Now you're gonna have some residuals in the rifle, but that will probably all come out in the wash, so to speak. No pun intended. In the first oil change, it'd probably be just fine. There's some items that you'd want to look hard at. Oil cooler being one of them, like somebody just said in the comment section. You might want to take a hard look at doing the oil pump. Oil cooler, oil pump. But from there, you should be okay.
Well, that's what I figured too, but they're super pushing and out of frame, and I just don't have the full faith in them getting that done very fast.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, piston cooling nozzles probably be a good one too. You wouldn't want to get any metal up in those, but they might push that so they can make it an extensive enough job to recoup some of their costs. What I think that they what they probably owe you is a cylinder head and 2 cams, and a couple of knickknacks to ensure that the oil to metal problem isn't going to cause more problems, and they need to move on with life.
Right. I agree totally. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Good luck, brother.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye. Anyway. I have a C15 that shakes at 1,000 RPM. So, yeah, not 10,000. Yeah, I knew you meant 1,000. I was just giving you a hard time, brother. So the question I would ask you immediately, if your truck is shaking at 1,000 RPMs, is that at an idle or is that going down the road? Is you just sitting there and you bump the idle up to 1,000 and it shakes really bad? Is that the case? If that's the case, you should just call the show, really, because I could ask you a few questions. We could probably figure out what's going on with that. The number to call in has been shared several times. It's 573-422-4225. Where are you located? We're located in San Antonio, Texas. Anyway. Hello, Connie Lee. You're on the... Oh, probably should put you on the air before I say you're on the air. Connie Lee, you're on the air. What can we do for you?
What's going on, Aaron? How are you?
Good, man. What can I do for you?
So I've got a hellacious backstory. I'm not going to go into that. In February, I bought a 2WS from a shop. They built it in the shop, right? I swapped out a C15, put in the 99 3416 2WS. About a week after I put it in, it had this mist to it. Went back and forth with them. Then it started drooling from the manifold. It looked like oil. It did not look like oil diesel mix. It just looked like straight oil. They couldn't get me in. 3 months later, 30,000 miles later, we get the truck in. They change out number 2 and number 4 injector. The truck runs worse. So they changed out the other 4 injectors. Truck still ran like shit. They wound up changing the injectors 3 times. Truck still runs rough. When I take it up to about 1,000, 1,100 RPM, it's got this boop, 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 and that's just sitting still. When I get under a load, it's worse.
It's the cylinder head.
I think it's in the... Okay.
It's the cylinder head.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
You have a drop valve. Or not you know, one of your valves is...
I was thinking it was in the...
One of your valves is most likely reset.
Like the valve seal?
One of your valves.
Okay, so the head needs to come off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking. I watched you do a video on Facebook about it. I think there was a guy who was running. He had a bad injector. Didn't know he had a bad injector. Ran the truck for, I think it was like 10,000 miles, and it tore up the cylinder head.
No, I mean, when they rebuilt this thing, did they put a new cylinder head on it, or did they put a reman cylinder head on it?
According to them, everything is new. It's got a stage 2 head on it, a PDI manifold.
Okay, is it an aftermarket stage 2 head?
I would assume so.
I would assume so. Makes it less likely that the head's the problem, but what you're describing is a is a sucked valve. That's what you're describing. That's why changing injectors isn't curing the problem.
Would that be why when they changed the injectors, it got worse?
Mm-hmm. It's not making any difference.
Right.
But, you know, if you rewind to the beginning of your conversation, okay, and you were saying that it was getting oil out the exhaust manifold.
Right.
It was never getting oil out of the exhaust manifold. It was getting diesel fuel mixing with soot that looks exactly like oil, and you would have a hard time convincing yourself it wasn't oil.
Okay.
Now, this is the part you probably won't want to hear. That is exclusively caused, well, almost exclusively caused. It can happen from a bad injector, but it's almost exclusively caused from the operator causing that to happen, and that's from not keeping it warm enough or what, especially on a new build. Its tolerance for something like that is really low. But that wouldn't explain you having a sucked valve.
It was like instant. As soon as we put the motor in, we put it was like a 58,000 pound excavator on the trailer. It did a break in with it. And it was instant, like right out the fucking door. It had that pop, 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 that mist to it.
Yeah, somebody may have set up the valve train wrong, caused some kind of issue.
Okay.
Something like that. But what you're describing, and of course, I've been known to be wrong. I can't really remember when, but I'm just kidding. But
I mean, I watch your videos, man, and I don't know when either. So
no, I can certainly be wrong. But what you're describing is a sucked valve.
A sucked valve?
Yeah, the valve is recessed into the head.
Okay, so what's the repair on that? Take the head off and
a new head.
Replace the valves.
A new head.
A new head.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I mean, you could technically have somebody cut
Okay.
valve seats and do all this fucking work to it, but by the time you do that, you could have bought a new head.
Right.
Everybody's
Well,
saying,
and I have warranty, and I've talked.
everybody's saying to check the valve lash, but these guys have changed injectors for you several times. I'm assuming they have ran the overhead again and again. Okay. Now that's a big fucking assumption on my part. I'll give the comment section that, right? That I am assuming that our overhead has been adjusted again and again, and we're making sure it's true, right?
And that's what I was told, because I asked that question numerous times. Like, day one, they changed the 2 injectors, put it back together, it ran like shit, so they changed the other 4. Still ran like shit. Day 2, they were.
I'm sure these guys have reran the rack. It's not like they want.
Right.
It's not like they want you to have problems.
No, because I still have full warranty on it. So, like, why would you? I kept telling them, I believe it's in the head. I keep thinking it's in the head, because I went through this same shit. Like, the truck has a vibration to it. It gets erratic. Like, it's hard to drive the fucking thing because it's all over the road. Under load. It's vibrating terribly.
You guys could take the injectors out and put air to the injector hole, and if you have a sucked cam, it will blow air out of the exhaust manifold.
Okay.
That's one way to. I mean, that's a hillbilly way to find out, but you can find out that way.
Hey, sometimes the fucking hillbilly way is the best way, right? Redneck shit works.
Yeah. I don't agree with some hillbilly things like using a heat thermometer gun to check manifolds, but I do have a thermal camera that I'll do that same hillbilly thing with. It's just high-tech hillbilly. Now that's accurate.
Right.
Or you can actually see with a thermal camera if one of your areas is cooler than the other. That's a way to find a bad injector or something wrong going on. I don't think that a heat gun, where you click the button and it tells you the temperature, that's not very accurate at all. But some hillbilly things, add a little technology to your hillbilly, you can do some wonders. Anyway, man, good luck with that thing. They just need to do some more diagnosing and figure out what the hell's going on. But I would stop changing injectors.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to resolve the problem. You're saying it's a sucked valve, like a sucked thumb, but a sucked valve?
I'm saying that's what it sounds like. The valve is stuck all the way up in the seat.
Okay.
All right, brother.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yep. Bye. One of the shitty things about this show is you spend all your time telling people their shit's fucked up. What needs to be done to an Acert to go from 18 to 1 to 16 to 1? To answer the question directly, you change out the 18 to 1 pistons to 16 to 1 pistons. I'm just saying. Back over here into the comment section, Facebook, YouTube comment section. There's a conversation going on about changing your CPL. If you, I didn't really get to follow along too well, but if you have, like, say, a 500 horsepower Cummins, can you change your Cummins to like a 605 or 600 high torque or something like that? Yes, you can. You can change your to a 26 CPL or whatever the hell it is. Yes, you can. What you have to do is you have to compare the two CPLs. What's different? And sometimes it can be just the piston crowns are different. Sometimes it's the piston crowns and the injectors. Sometimes it's the piston crowns, injectors, and turbo are different. Sometimes it's so extreme, it's the piston crowns, the injectors, the turbo, and some of the front gears. Sometimes it's one of the camshafts. So what you don't want to do is put a tune on it that doesn't belong on it. Yeah, you need to build the CPL to the tune that you're trying to put on it. So I don't know if that helps anybody that was having that conversation over there, but the same thing goes for the cats and all the rest of them. If you have a 435 variable cat, that's gonna, and you want it to be a 550. That takes a different turbo, different injectors, different camshaft, different piston crowns. Not always. Really depends. CB handled Dr. Aaron. I don't know about that. But you know, you have to know what you're dealing with. You can't, you got to look at your parts list for the engine that you have versus the parts list for the engine you're trying to do, and do it accordingly. Anyway, Jesus Christ, we got a lot of callers all of a sudden. Bryce, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
How you doing, Mr. Aaron, this afternoon?
Good, good. What can I do for you?
So I've got a 1995 Ford L9000 with a 3306B Caterpillar in it. And first of all, I have no idea how many miles are on the truck. The odometer got turned off at 140-something thousand. So could be 500,000 for all I know. But we've started to have some intermittent starting issues. It started melting the ground cable off the starter. So we figured the starter was bad. Put a new starter in it. Now sometimes it cranks great. Sometimes it won't turn over, like the batteries are bad, but it's got all new batteries in it. And recently it started cranking really slow. But we found out if you get in it and you tap the throttle a little bit when you crank it, fires right up, no problem. So everybody I've talked to has no idea what's going on. Just so happens to hear live tonight, so I figured I'd ask you what your opinion was.
So if you don't tap the throttle, it turns over hard?
It does. The starter turns the engine over really slowly, in my opinion. But we put a ratchet on the crank. Engine turns over by hand just fine. There's no white smoke. It's not really burning any oil. I mean, it's a 95 model truck.
But you already burnt a wire off the starter. Okay, so anytime your wiring is getting hot, is almost exclusively going to be a grounding issue.
And that's where we ended up. All the ground wires got replaced, and the wires aren't getting hot anymore, but we're still having that intermittent starting problem. Like I said, sometimes you get in it and it fires right, like first thing in the morning, we get in it, hit the button, cranks right up, runs, no problem. We drive it an hour down the road, shut it off for a couple hours, go to get in it, do whatever. And twice now we've gotten, luckily we were on a hill and I was able to pop it off with the clutch, which I don't like doing.
It sounds like so you got to correlate here, right? What correlation do you have? And here's the correlation. Later on in the day after I've ran it, it doesn't want to start. That is most likely has everything to do with the starter being hotter than shit. You have some kind of power issue going on with that starter, and that starter is basically fucked.
Okay.
I wouldn't do anything else to that damn thing until I put a new starter on it. And are you putting the giant OEM piece of shit starter on it? You putting a reduction starter on it, a small reduction gear starter on it?
So the first one we put on it was the 42MT, the original replacement that come off of it, the big ass one. The one that I have on order should be here in a couple days is a 39MT gear reduction.
Yeah, that starter, your problem.
That one's a little.
Your problems might all go away with that starter. Be honest with you.
Okay. My follow-up question to that was, and I'll make this really quick. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do realize that's only a 300 horsepower engine. Is there anything that we can do to it with from what I can tell, limited parts availability aftermarket wise without blowing the motor up, just to squeeze a little bit extra out of it so we can at least, keep up with traffic going up a hill.
I believe that thing could be set to a 4 1/4 without having to change anything, but I'd be a little loath to give that advice out because I don't know. Again, I would have to take your like we were just talking about before you called. I'd have to take your engine serial number and compare that to one that is 4 1/4 and see what kind of parts lists are different. And I'm pretty sure there's nothing different, but I don't know that, right? So I don't just want to say, hey, you just gotta, find somebody who knows what they're doing and have them turn the screws up and get you to 4 1/4 and whatever else, without knowing that. I mean, your piston crowns might be different than the ones that come in a 4 1/4. There's actually quite a few configurations for the B model engine. You kind of have to know what you have.
This one's actually a C.
Oh, okay.
It's a 9TL serial number C model.
Okay, so your C models are capable of even more typically. So I would assume yes, but yeah, you need to do your research and have somebody that knows what they're doing turn it up. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gone down the forum route of just back out your AF screws, and your rack travel screws 3 turns and let it ride. But I don't put too much trust in internet forums.
No, not unless you like melted pistons.
No, absolutely not. I appreciate it, and I guess we'll dig into starter wiring and get a new starter on it.
All right, brother. Well, good luck. Let us know how it turns out.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Whew. Why can't you in-frame a DD58? You can, but I wouldn't. They're just everything's going on in the back of those things. So out of frame's the only way I would do one of those. Okay, guys, we're coming up to 20 minutes left in the show. I'll probably run a little late, but there's a lot of callers here. We're going to try and get to everybody that called in, but I'm not going to take any callers after this. So let me look. Number 28 is the last person to call in. Been on hold for 42 seconds. The longest been on hold is 26 minutes. We're going to burn through a couple of these because guys have been on hold for a long time. I'm going to not take any more calls, though, guys, because we're going to go way past the show time, which is fine. I don't mind hanging out with y'all, but I don't want to be here till 11 o'clock at night either. Jake, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, Aaron. I've got a old Big Cam 400. Trying to figure out if I need to rebuild it or not. It's got some blow-by. Doesn't really have any suck and blow, but definitely some blow-by. Might have a leaking head gasket. I can't really tell. The valve cover's leaking down, even though I've replaced them. And it doesn't burn any coolant. Doesn't really burn any oil. Maybe a gallon in 8,000 miles or so. And I'm still getting 4.5 to a little over 5 miles a gallon in Wyoming, pulling mountains constantly. So I kind of wanted your input on it.
Well, kind of the way you figure out whether you need to rebuild an engine or not. First of all, I would be concerned that you're losing a gallon of coolant, right? You shouldn't be losing a gallon of coolant.
A gallon of oil, not coolant.
Oh, okay, a gallon of oil. So a gallon of oil in 8,000 miles. I mean, if you can determine you have no external leaks, right? You're not leaking from anywhere at all. A gallon of oil is the beginning of some concern. Okay. So my advice immediately would be, do we have any external leaks? If the answer is no, so you're burning that oil. the best way to figure out whether you need to start being concerned about a rebuild or not is to take oil samples. The easiest way to do that, man, is go on Amazon, go to Under My Hood, get a couple of, their oil sample kits. They're all self-contained. It's super easy to use. Mail them off and see if you have any markers for levels that you need to be concerned about. And if you do, then you need to start thinking ahead, and get on somebody's book somewhere where you got your parts paid for and you're all ready, and then do it on your own time, right? That engine is incredibly affordable to overhaul. If you're doing a basic in-frame on it, and even if you're throwing, basic in-frame, throwing heads on it and doing an oil pump, oil cooler, water pump, dampener, you should be into that thing for not much, high teens, low 20s, something like that, to completely redo that entire engine. It's a very affordable engine to do. But you may not need any of that. What you need to do is take some oil samples and kind of see what you have going on, if anything at all. And then periodically do oil samples every, really, you should do it every freaking time, right? I mean, what, $20? You're talking $20 every 10,000 miles. What's it going to hurt?
Yeah. Spend a lot more on oil and everything else. So
yep,
I'll get that done and see what I can get figured out.
All right, brother. That's the place to start for sure. Then you don't have to guess and spend money on a guess.
All right. Appreciate your time, Aaron. Thanks.
Yep. Have a good night. Somebody's asking how often we go live. I do this every Wednesday from 7 to 9 Central Time. And of course, these do post. In fact, these things get way more views over the next couple of weeks. People have figured out they can go watch them later. And and I'll end the show and there'll be 8 to 10,000 views. And then over the next couple of weeks, they'll jump up 30, 40,000 views. So they are posted immediately when the show's over. A guy can go watch them later. But of course, better to be here. Then you can be a part of the show. Joel, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, Aaron, quick question. Do you have any experience with the carbon cleaning machines that they hook up to your engines?
Never heard of anything like that. Sounds awesome.
HHO, I've been seeing a lot of media about it, and they go through the EGR system, and it apparently supposed to clean up all the carbon, and supposed to do wonders. I was just curious if you had heard anything about that, or
are you talking about a machine, or are you talking about a product that you add to your fuel or something?
No, an actual machine that they hook up to your motor.
No, never heard of it.
Oh, okay. I've seen some media on it, and it looks pretty amazing, but I just didn't know if it was snake oil or
something
that was for real.
Yeah, I don't know. So one guy in the comments says it's snake oil, but I don't know. I can't comment on. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, that's all I had, brother.
All right, sir. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Bye. I do know that cleaning your EGR and your whole system there is one of the most beneficial things you can do. Guys that complain about having to buy VGT turbos all the time, they could certainly avoid those problems most of the time by cleaning up their systems every 100, 150,000 miles, and they would no longer be buying turbos. I can tell you that. Chris, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Oh, I've got a strange question. I've recently rebuilt the C15. It smoked cylinders 1 and 2, put it back on the road, came back, smoked cylinder 3, and then put a new set of injectors in it, went and had the trim codes all added in and all this happy garbage. While it was there, the guy that was plugged into it started revving it real high. And between 14 and 1600, it starts acting like it has a rev limiter in it. I'm just curious if you've heard of this problem or ran across it anywhere.
Yeah, it probably has a rev limiter in it.
Well, not a rev limiter as in it stops. A rev limiter like it's a Honda with some teenage kid on Saturday night. Like it's got a real bad miss to it kind of problem.
Oh. Well.
So that could actually be programmed into it then?
Yeah.
It'll pull past it under load, but...
Okay. But you can set your rev limiter when it's not in gear. I would,
right. Well, all the ones I've ever seen in the past just quit.
I put
get to that point and stop, not miss real hard.
To kind of put it into perspective, I went and put rev limiters on all my trucks. A long time ago.
Yeah, which I totally understand.
When I had drivers, I put, I think I put them at 1800. I put rev limiters on all of them so nobody could take them over 1800. It's absolutely could be done. Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at the comment in the comment section. But I mean, you know, your whole comment there is a lot to unpack. You know, you're asking a question after you made a bunch of comments, and your question isn't really related to all the shit you just said. You said I burnt out a cylinder. Fix that. I burnt out another cylinder. I fixed that. We put some injectors in it, and it acts funny when I'm revved up.
Okay, so that's just the history of it. The acting funny is what's new that's got me concerned.
Okay, but it doesn't do it.
Even like driving through traffic, and I'll be at 1500, and then it just that, and then traffic speeds up, and we're all good. But like low speed traffic, I guess maybe I should define that as well. But either like sitting still or low speed traffic, it gets a real funky miss to it.
Okay. And this is a cat?
Yeah. The only reason why I mentioned everything else is I don't know if that's tied to what was going on, and I'm just catching it to it being an anomaly now.
Well, I would want to go back and understand how you burnt holes out. And when you say you burnt them hole out and fixed it, are you saying you burnt out you burnt up a cylinder and you guys pulled the head and did one jug and then put it together, and then you burnt another cylinder out and you guys pulled the head again and did one jug, and now we're at where we're at?
Yes.
So now I would like to know.
The first one I never got a good answer.
Why are we burning jugs out?
I don't know specifically why. This last one, I had guys that would actually look at it with me, and their determination was that one of the injectors ate it.
Nah.
And caused it.
Was it recently overhauled?
Yes. So it was overhauled, went about 40,000 miles, burned through 2 cylinders, replaced those 2, went another 30,000 miles, and then burned a separate one altogether. The originals.
Yeah. So they really, the only way you can burn up the cylinders unless you have some external factor going on, like you have some idiotic tune on it, and or something like that. If you're burning out cylinder holes post rebuild, there's a 99% chance that we bent our cooling jets when we were putting this thing together. And your cylinder holes are getting burnt out. It's not the injectors. The injectors are not burning your cylinder holes out. The cooling jets are most likely the culprit here. And somebody in the comment section saying get a pyro. If you're getting this thing so fucking hot, the pyro's doing this thing to it, you're not going to burn one hole out and later on burn another hole out. You're going to burn the whole motherfucker to the ground if your pyro's doing this. We see this a lot, by the way, where a hole or two will get smoked post rebuild, within the first 10, 20,000 miles. And what's going on is the cooling jets are bent just enough that they're not oiling properly, and it smokes that hole out.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that they took it apart and they have no clue why it keeps happening, right?
The first one, they had no clue. The second one, they think it was a bad injector problem.
So in other words,
Everybody that I talked to.
And so in other words, they had no clue on the second one.
Yeah, essentially, I guess.
Yeah, they bent the cooling jets.
You know, just scored the living daylights out of the cylinder walls.
Yes, that's a bent cooling jet. That's not an injector. An injector is not scoring the shit out of the cylinder walls. An injector problem will wash a cylinder wall. It will not score a cylinder wall.
Right.
Right. You have bent cooling jets. They're probably still bent to this day, and that's why it's running like shit. Is you have another hole that's burnt out from these bent cooling jets.
To find somebody that knows, do they come pre-bent, or do I need to get somebody that knows what they're doing and bent them in properly?
Well, they come pre-bent if you haven't built at that shop, apparently. No,
pretty knocked the other way.
You can get new ones from Cat. I get all mine from Highway and Heavy Parts. Are much more affordable from them. It's not really expensive to get fixed them. You can reuse the bolts that are there. I would get 6 new cooling jets, throw them in there. And while you're under there, take a look and see what cylinders burnt out now. But these cylinders are all getting burnt out from bent cooling jets. Bet you $1 million.
All right.
All right.
I'll go try that then.
All right, brother. Good luck.
Thank you much.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks. Later.
Okay, we had one more guy call in. Don, I don't think we're going to get to you, brother. I had to cut it. Oh, well, you know what? Number 27 and 28 dropped, so we will take you. So just hang on. We'll get to you, brother. Chris, you're on the air. What can we do for you?
Yeah, Aaron, this is Chris Morse. Hey, I've got a problem with, I got an MXS Cat, and I think I've got an injector overfueling, because sitting at an idle, say if I idle it overnight at 9 to 1,000 RPM, it will load up, but it cleans itself up pretty quick. My top 2 gears in overdrive, they're just kind of just weak. I don't know if I've got a fuel pressure issue or if I do have an injector failing on it. What do you think?
Define load up.
It rolls out like raw smoke. It reminds me of an old what an old big cam would smell like when you're sitting beside it when they're idling. It'll haze a little black smoke when the cruise picks up and puts it under pressure. It's a 550 with a heavy haul tune in it, nothing crazy. And it'll haze, and then when I kick the Jake on after a long period stretch, it will roll some black smoke out. I've never dealt with this issue, and I haven't plugged in into the computer yet to do a cylinder cutout to see if I got an injector failing or not.
Okay, so let's move on to the second item there, and we might be able to narrow that down. So when you're driving it, you're having a problem with your top 2 holes. What's it doing?
Well, it's only pulling 50 pounds of boost, and I know on an Acert it's still got the compounds on it and everything. It should be pulling more than 50 pounds of boost. I got a brand new air on it, put a brand new Duralite on it, and it's still doing it because my last one had some cracks in it. All my boost tubes are good.
50 pounds of boost on Acert's great. That's great. Can it push more than that? Can it push up to 60? Yes, it can. Are you going to see it pushing up to 60 unless you're pulling a good hill, and loaded heavy? Most likely not. Most likely you're never going to see 60 PSI with that thing. 50 is great.
Let me flip it off to another part of it, though. It just started about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It also started, of course, I've been running down in Texas hauling cattle. And I know it's been hot, but it'll crawl up on the water, and it will crawl up to about 1,100 on the pyro.
Okay.
But I'm not pushing water. I don't have any combustion in my.
Hang on. Let's back up just a little bit. I'm not trying to be rude. I just, we got more people on the, and I want to narrow it down with you.
Yeah.
Let's back to your comment. What does that mean?
I took it over the big cat shop and it was turned to a 550. Went from 465 550 with what they call the heavy haul tune. I mean,
okay, so were you at Caterpillar?
Factory specs.
Were you at Caterpillar or were you at some?
No, it was a Caterpillar.
Like official Caterpillar or some cat certified place?
It's official Caterpillar.
Okay, like a Holt cat or something.
Fully cat.
Okay, fully cat. Okay, so you have a 552. So an Acert with a 550 on it, basically cannot see 1100 on the pyro. So you have something seriously wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, you're lucky to see 800 on a pyro on an Acert in a hard pull. 900 maybe.
Yeah, that's where it used to be, and unless my pyro's screwed up.
No, I don't.
Which could be.
No, don't go down that road. That pyro is probably fine. You're probably getting that hot. Does it have the factory exhaust system on it?
No, it's in a 2013, so it's pretty much straight piped.
Okay. So it's a glider?
No, I did a Cummins swap or a cat swap. I wrecked the truck, and then I hit 4 head of cattle, and then I bought a T2000. Then I had a 600 Cummins that CM. It was a factory 600 Cummins, and I put about 20 gallons of fuel in the crankcase, and I had this truck sitting with the engine, and I just swapped them out myself. But that was almost 100,000 miles ago. This just started about 2 weeks ago.
Nah, I don't think it's a wastegate problem, guys. He has 50 pounds of boost. I mean, you very well could have a. Have you done an injector cutout test?
Not yet. I'm going over tomorrow to Foley to do it, but I figured I would call first because I thought about a wastegate because she does lag, always has, but it's kind of worse at the bottom end. It doesn't snap like all my other compound turbo, the Acerts that I've had. It builds boost real slow. And I thought about the wastegate myself, but I haven't done anything about it yet.
Well, I mean, really, you shouldn't be talking to anybody until you do an injector cutout test.
Okay, because I do know a bad injector would probably
cause all these
cause it to heat up too.
All these problems.
Yeah.
And
all right. Well,
I'll be honest with you. There's one part of your story seems a little unbelievable. And that's that fully cat tune for you. I'm not calling you a liar. It's just cat's pretty stickler about fucking with anything that's not in the parameters, and you have a truck that's not a glider that you've swapped a cat into, and you're saying cat did a tune for you. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but that's a little suspect, right? I just want to make sure that it's not actually. I just want to make sure it's not.
I agree where you come from, but the advantage is I worked for them for 3 years over there too. So.
Oh, I see. Well, there's always that.
Yeah.
Well, then you of all people should know that you without an injector cutout test, you shouldn't even be talking about anything else. Do that first.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I was needing to know, and I do appreciate your time. And I like your guys' input on everything.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the call, man. You have a good night and good luck.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Yep. Bye. All right, 4 more to go, guys. 4 more to go. Let's burn them up. I'm not seeing a name here. You're on the air, brother. What can we do for you? Looks like you talked to me earlier today.
This is Myron.
Yep.
Yeah. I got a 03 Pete with a 6NZ cat in it, and I'm having issues. It pulls fine when you're like into it, but when you let off to grab the next gear, say you're even going downhill, it'll sit there and sputter for a bit before it actually grabs and pulls. And this only seems to only happen once I get the truck good and hot. Like if I have to get it up around 200 degrees before it starts doing that. But once I get it up there 200, it just does it every time I go to grab the next gear.
That is almost certainly an injector problem. Once the fuel's getting hot, that injector's having a really hard time. You have an injector that's taking a shit on you.
Okay, kind of what I thought, but I wasn't positive if that's what it would be or not. Because yes, it only does it when it gets hot. Like when it's cool, it runs fine.
And it's kind of counter. So it can go both ways, right? Most of the time, your injector problems show their face when the engine's cold, because once it gets up to operating temperature, the rest of your cylinder holes run so efficiently that it'll seem like your problem goes away. But if you have an injector that is having mechanical problems and stuff like that, once the fuel gets hot, it's not sealing properly and this and that. I had a BXS I was chasing a problem with forever. It ended up being an injector, and when the fuel would get hot, that thing would just pop and smoke, and it was only when I would I'd shift gears, and so it's lugging down and it's trying to catch back up. Once the rest of your cylinders are going at an RPM, a substantial RPM, it seems like the problem goes away because they're all running so efficiently, right? But that one injectors is causing you problems. You have one bad injector, I'd almost guarantee it.
Okay. Another issue I was running into was this truck was doing the same thing. It was running hot on exhaust temperatures and stuff, but it has a wastegated turbo on it, and my turbo seemed like it was weak. So just about a week ago, now I clamped that hose off with a wastegate, and now my boosts I can get up to like mid to upper 30s, and now I don't have the exhaust temperature problem again anymore. So is that turbo about shot where I got to replace the turbo, or is there another way of fixing it, or just run it like it is? Or
so the problem that you run into there is, and I mean, I don't think I ever owned a turbo in my life. I didn't pinch the wastegate off, to be honest with you. But you are running some dangers there of, blowing the seals on the turbo, right? But yeah, if you saw a dramatic improvement from pinching the wastegate off, that turbo's shot. Does that mean you need to replace it?
Yeah.
Technically, of course, you have a turbo that's shot. Does that mean you can't run it for another 10 years? Who knows? I mean, you probably can, right? But who knows? But now you have cut the wastegate off, and that thing's going to be more prone to failure than it was before. Again, that's coming from a guy that just told you I don't think I've ever had a wastegate that I didn't pinch off, right? But you are asking for problems. I'm certainly not the guy to give people advice to pinch off their wastegates, because I've always had multiple trucks and in my own shop, and and I could afford to blow an engine up over a fucking wastegate, right? So
how much like, say I had a normal turbo and I pinched it off, what should that turbo boost with it pinched off? Like how high could I get?
I mean, with a stock turbo, 32, 34. What are you seeing?
Okay. I'm seeing maybe 36, 37.
Okay. That's really good.
I wasn't sure if that was normal or not. Or
no, that's fine. Okay. That's really good.
I heard I had one guy say something about somebody doing that and boosting like 50, but I didn't know if that was legit or not.
You'd have to have a performance turbo for that. You put a good put a good turbo on there. My brother says you can get up to 45 pinch stop, and I'm not calling him a liar, but I've never seen that. I've never seen any turbo get up into the 40s that is a stock 550 turbo.
Okay.
Pinched off or not, that's just my personal experience. My brother says 32 is your stock boost. I think he's right about that. You'll get about 32 pounds of boost on a stock turbo working properly. Your performance turbos, like a 78 millimeter or something, 78 135 or something like that, is still pretty stockish turbo. But like a 600, capable of 600 horsepower or something like that, that one probably see closer to 40, up to 40. Your 78 millimeter 145, that's going to hit 40 no problem. Some of the ones that I build will hit 45, somewhere in there. They'll really get after it. But on that stock turbo, if you're hitting 36, I think you're doing pretty good, brother.
Yep. All right. So basically, on the sputtering issue, just have to get my injectors tested and see which ones causing issues there, I guess.
Yeah, my brother says pinching off your wastegate is a lot of times putting a Band-Aid on an injector issue. And it sounds like that's literally what you're doing. So
okay. Yeah, because I was literally having like pulling, which I was running in Arizona where it was hot, but literally running 950 to 1,000 all the time. And if I pulled any kind of heel out of 1,000 to 1,100 on my exhaust temperature before I pinched the thing off. But since I pinched it off, now I'm not having the exhaust temperature issues, but there's still sputtering issues still there.
Yep. All right, brother.
All righty. Well, I appreciate the answer.
Yep. You still have an injector problem. Take care of that later.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Dustin Cooper, you're on the air, brother.
How's it going, Aaron? Long time follower, first time caller. I am just trying to, I guess, what's that?
Nothing. It's just it just made me laugh. You have your your Republican radio shows. That's what they always say. Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I done it. I was like, that's just gonna be a funny little input there. But anyways, I'm just trying to, I guess, clarify. So I grew up around trucking. Never in my life have I ever heard until the last 5 years, really, people really just, be blunt or like be about the prefix of an engine. So like the 1LW, 2WS, 5EKs and all that stuff. So what is the sudden, I guess, in the last 5-6 year uptake in people wanting to know which prefix an E model is, or even the Acert?
No, I think it's just I think it's social media. I think social media has increased awareness for everyone to understand those type of things, right? So everybody's becoming an expert, so to speak, right?
Right.
But just knowing a prefix doesn't mean you know anything about it,
Right.
So like, your 5EK prefixes and your 60X prefixes are really, for all intents and purposes, a totally different class of engine than your 1LW 2WS 6NZ, which is a totally different class of engine than your MBN, and then your BXS, MXS, NXS, and then your SDP. They're all in their own classes. And I mean, if you want to get super technical, if you want to go by CAT's definition of class of engine, they class in engines together that you wouldn't even think go together, like your C13, your C15, your C16, and your C18 are all the same class of engine to them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Your C12 and C10. Yeah, your C12, C10 is its own class, and then your 13, 15, 16, and 18 are in the same class.
Gotcha. And the only other question I got, so the truck I have is a 99 model. It's got the factory 1OW in it. It was overhauled by Boyd Caterpillar in Kentucky 4 years ago. I broke the engine in because I drive for the guy. I'm his only driver now, but at the time I was not. So for 3 years, I broke it into my style of driving, my style of running, and all that stuff. I left for a year. Somebody else drove it. I came back. So before I left, it did not have any slobbers, not even a drip out of the blow-by tube, nothing like that. So when I came back, now it's got a drip out of the blow-by tube. Nothing major. It sits all weekend, maybe leaves a spot the size of a quarter, maybe a $50 on the ground underneath it. Maybe half gallon of oil, if that, in between oil changes. We change every 10,000, 11,000 miles, and all that stuff. Is there any major concern right off the rip for that currently?
Yeah, I mean, if you're developing a issue where you're starting to see oil formulate underneath your blow-by tube, that is almost a sure sign of some kind of combustion gas issue. And you can usually tell the difference. And of course, you know, this isn't a guaranteed, but it's pretty easy usually to see the difference between a broken ring and a scored liner. And the easiest way to tell that is if you have a broken ring, your engine will smoke you out at an idle, like it's a fog machine, right? A scored liner is going to show up more as not necessarily blow you know, you don't even want to be parked with the truck because it fills the cab up with smoke. That's going to more show its face as oil coming out of your blow-by tube because it's accumulating under load, right? And then when you stop, it's all running down. So you probably have some kind of combustion gas into the crankcase issue coming from somewhere. Liner burn, you know, it's probably a carbon buildup issue from not being up to operating temperature often enough. And you probably have some liner scoring going on.
Right. And like I say, I broke it in. So 3 years of me running this truck, like I said, never had anything show up or nothing like that. Now, the guy that drove it for the year while I was gone, he does not run nowhere near the way I run. So I didn't know if just changing styles of running and how an engine would be operated for a year's time would make that different, I guess you could say.
Well, I mean, somebody jokingly said in the comment section, that driver is probably turning the engine fan on and now it's got blow-by. But all seriousness, that's literally probably the culprit.
Gotcha. And I do know he's an idle up guy and turn the engine fan on and all that extra stuff. I'm like you. I actually just seen your video or one of the deals the other day where your son was asking you about the engine fan stuff, and you were like, if you got to turn it on, or you know, if it's not doing what it's supposed to stuff, and there's something wrong with your shit. So like, I'm not that. Like, if this thing kicks on and off like it's supposed to do, runs how it's supposed to do, I don't touch it. I don't even bother that switch up there.
Yeah,
and all that. And I mean, go ahead.
It's just the comment section. The comment section in that particular video that you're referencing, there's hundreds and hundreds of people saying, obviously you've never, you know, ran Blueberry Hill with a full load or Bumblebee or whatever the fuck hill they want to pick out of their ass. And the reality of it is in those seconds, unless they happen from Alaska and ran that has pulled steeper hills than I have with comparable weight, you know, weight to incline than I have. And so when I'm telling a guy that you don't need to turn your engine fan on, there's no scenario where your engine fan will not cool the engine down because you're too heavy on too steep of a grade. I did a job in the middle of
Right.
summer years ago for a village that had 23 to 24% grades. We had to start out, and it was a 3 mile haul, all uphill, and we had to start out in the low side, right? And I've never never at any time did I have to run the fan to keep my truck from overheating. If I had to, then there's something fucking wrong with my truck, right?
Right. Right, exactly. And I understand that. I get that. Mechanics but on gas or engine. But I mean, there's truck here. So he bought the truck from a guy in Iowa. Either way, this is probably one of the coolest running E models I've ever driven in my life. This thing, the temperature, the coolant temperature stays right at 175, 180, maybe gets up to 195. Engine fan kicks it on, cools it off immediately. Pyro, I've never pyro in 4 years now that I've been running this truck.
Well,
so whatever.
Here's what I would recommend, man. Take an oil sample. An oil sample is going to let you know if you're getting foreign material in there in the form of combustion gas, right? It's going to help you at least get an idea.
Yeah. Right. And then the last thing is it just ran out of warranty from Caterpillar. He's held off on having any kind of tune done to it. It's set at 500, I believe, is what Cat set it at whenever he had them in frame it. I'm not 100%. I haven't seen the paperwork on that. I myself think it's 475, but
it can
he's the one to pay for it, so I don't really know.
It can go to a 550 without hurting anything at all, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, because there's a guy, and of course, obviously, you don't know which shop's full of shit, which one's not. There's a guy up here at the house. I'm from Kentucky, down here in Texas, running right now. But he's like, bring it to me. He's like, all my Cat guys, I do the same tune on every one of them. It's what he calls a 601 tune.
Yeah.
On the E models. He said, before I ever do anything though, he said I go in and make sure all the lashing and run an overhead on it before I ever tune that truck.
It's a 5DS tune, and you're gonna fucking destroy your truck. But good luck with that one. All right, brother.
Gotcha. No, I mean, hey, if you say it's not a good idea, I'm not going after it.
Yeah,
that's why I wanted to run it by you real quick.
The most believable thing he said is, I put the same tune on everybody's shit. That should already tell you don't want anything to do with that guy. You don't want anything to do with that guy.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
All right, brother.
Makes sense. So where exactly is your shop? And I run in Texas all the time. I just come by and let y'all play with it.
No, you can get a hold of us. We're in San Antonio. On Facebook, very top of our Facebook page, the very first post, it's pinned permanently as our contact info.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'll be in touch, man. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Bye.
See ya.
Oh, God. All right. We've got a couple more callers. We'll get to you guys. I wanted to look at the comment section here. There's a couple things I wanted to comment on. Like I always say, I have to switch to turn my auto fan off. Bobby, if you have a Freightliner, they don't come with a fan switch. They just assume that the driver doesn't have enough brains to have a fan switch. I always eliminate the compressor intake when diagnosing blow-by. Boost goes in that little engine too. That was one of the things I wanted to comment on. Of course, that should be part of a diagnostic, or at least it can be, but it's certainly not going to contribute to oil coming out of the blow-by tube. That is going to be happen from combustion gas. Your compressor is not going to push oil out the blow-by tube. Aaron needs Starlink. 100%, brother. I have Starlink on my boat, and my internet on my boat is the best internet I have. I switched internet here recently to AT&T from some local provider. I thought it was going to do way better. I think I'm going to cancel this internet, and I am going to get Starlink here because I can play Call of Duty on my boat, 100 miles offshore and streaming. Kids are all streaming shit and watching Netflix, and it don't slow down. And this is AT&T I got here, and the piece of shit won't even stay hooked up. The only thing I have hooked up is this computer running this show. It's the dumbest thing. So, yeah, this internet's junk. Anyway, all right. You've been on hold for 23 minutes. Noy Sanchez, I think. What can we do for you, brother?
Hey, boss, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, brother, I got a question to ask you. I get a 5EK. I'm working on it now. I had it rebuilt, have maybe 100,000 on the full phantom rebuild, you know. Injectors went bad, so I replaced injectors right around when it had about, I don't know, 70, 80,000 miles on it. I put flow match injectors on it, marine cam. I put at the original turbo. It was it's a 5EK at 435. I bumped it up to 475, and truck was running excellent, no issue. Why? No fault, nothing crazy. Then all of a sudden, block cracked right on the oil galley by the oil cooler. Could it be too much power, or what is your input on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, your 435 has different piston crowns than your 550 does. Did you guys do a complete overhaul on it when you changed it from a 435 to a 550 and added big ass injectors and a marine cam?
No. We went to it was a 475.
Oh, 475. That's 435.
Yeah.
Now, is that a variable 475?
Yeah, it was
or is
originally
that a
435.
Oh, it was originally a 435,
That
right? It was originally a 435,
yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
That's my point. It doesn't matter what you put in the ECM. Just because you put 475 in the ECM doesn't mean that you made it now able to go to something higher, right? And put big injectors in it in a marine cam. Those are low compression pistons in that engine, brother. They can't handle what you've done to it.
Okay. So that's probably why it cracked on the oil galley on the behind the oil cooler.
Yeah, you probably have slung a rod or something stupid. Those piston crowns probably came apart.
No, it still runs. I mean, you can turn it on and like I said, no blow by, no smoke. It's just got that little crack on that oil galley, and you can see it seeping oil out.
Yeah. I think you probably have something wrong. I think you probably have something seriously wrong, and it just hasn't completely shown you yet. The block isn't magically cracked right behind the oil cooler. Something is busted.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the hairline crack on it, and you could see the oil weep out of there. And that was the thing, you know, I didn't want a big tune on it. I just wanted a little bit more out of it, and so it was set at 475.
It's not capable of 475.
Okay.
Your 475 and your 550 are compatible. Your 435 is not compatible with 475.
Okay, so that's probably the issue then, too much.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
All right,
that'll work. I appreciate it very much.
Yep.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye. Yeah. Somebody said, I hate when they gaslight you because it's not what they want to hear. That sure does happen a lot on this show. It does happen a lot on his show. Where people start to tell people what they don't want to hear. And it's all chip in and buy her and some Advil. I do read the comments, brother. I do read the comments. We got a couple more callers. We're 30 minutes past the show. Charles Beaver, you're on the air. I'll take another one. What can we do for you?
Yes, yes, sir. I've got a C13 KCB motor, Acert. We're getting a lot of sludge. It's blacker than the Ace of Spades, like real thick oil coming out the blowby. And to run 80 to 90 miles, I'm using about 6 gallons of antifreeze, but nothing's mixing. There's no fuel in the antifreeze. There's no pressure on the reservoir as it's going down the road.
No, it's going.
But when we pull the oil on the oil pan,
it's going in your crankcase.
Right. How's it getting there? Somebody said it might be the oil pump since it's gear driven because the oil's not milky.
No.
Through the wall.
It's going in oil. It's your line.
Don't come out of the first oil.
Yeah, it's coming liners.
So the liners are bad?
Yeah.
What left? Down here, yourself.
Okay, because I don't normally run Caterpillar. This is the first Caterpillar I have. I like my Cummins. That's all I've ever run is Cummins motors.
Somebody in the comments section saying the water pump on the C13 is a common problem for this.
That's what it says on the internet, too. That's why I was asking you. They say you're the best of the best, so I'm asking you.
Really simple. Drop the oil pan. Leave everything intact. Drop the oil pan. Pressurize the cooling system and watch it pour out your liners. If it doesn't pour out your liners, it's not the liner.
It ain't doing.
It's not. We got 20 pounds of pressure
got 20
now for the last half hour, and there's no pressure drop, and we're not losing any water.
Okay, so if you got it opened,
yeah,
up,
we got the pressure.
If you got it opened up and you're looking at your drivetrain, looking at all those main caps, looking at all those rod caps, okay, do you see any coolant condensation at all?
Just on the dipstick right above the oil, whenever you pull the dipstick, there's little droplets of water there.
I'm talking about down there. I want you to look on your main caps. Is there any drips of coolant that are obvious coolant?
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. We
sounds like you guys are there right now. Are you not?
No, we ain't got the oil pan off. We just pressurized the system.
And we don't have anything dripping into the pan.
Well, how the hell do you know if you don't have the pan off and you're looking? It ain't gonna run. It ain't gonna.
Alrighty.
It ain't gonna run like a faucet, boys. Oh, you got to remember when that engine's
All right, thank you.
That's it.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, it seems like the majority, the only time it leaks, it'll sit here and hold antifreeze in the reservoir. It seems like it's when the motor gets hot is when this issue arises.
Right, sure. You gotta take the oil pan off, brother. Two things you need to look for real quick, okay? When you first take that oil pan off, look at the bottom of that crank, look at the main caps and all that. You should see accumulated coolant droplets. If you do, you can kind of skip the pressurization portion of that and just know already that your liners are bad. Okay. But move on to step 2. Pressurize the cooling system while you're underneath there and look for any coolant running. It's not going to just sit there and run into your oil pan necessarily, right? I mean, but you're losing 6 gallons.
Less than about 80 miles.
Right. That's I don't agree. It's your water pump. I don't. This has got to be coming from internal. This is coming from the liners dropping into the oil pan.
Okay. All right, we're going to investigate that then.
All right, sir. Good luck. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Your water pumps have a telltale on them that will let you know if your coolant and oil are in a position to mix with each other. That's how I can pretty much, I mean, C13 will leak into the crankcase. No, a C13 can leak into the crankcase. The C13 will not. It can. Those are not the same thing. It's an important distinction here. It can. That does not mean that it will. It is much more likely that he has a liner issue. Of course, it's pretty simple to find out. He needs to check it, and then move on to see if it's something else. I got 2 more callers. These guys called after the fact, but fuck it. We'll take them, and then we'll call it a night. Hello, Don. You're on the air.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Let's burn it up. What do we got?
Good. Yeah, let's get right to it. Hey, we just rebuilt an Acert motor, and we single turboed it. And I'm not a big single turbo guy. I just didn't leave the compounds on, but I got outvoted on the deal. But we after getting the engine together, it runs fine. It pulls great, but we cannot keep the pyro cool where we can push 1200 degrees. If there's something obviously wrong, we cannot figure it out. We've just got a stock tune in it. It's a stock 550. It was originally a 550. We haven't done anything crazy. We've actually replaced the pyro just to make sure.
Hang on. Let's slow down. When you say stock, when you say stock 550, you mean stock Acert 550 tune?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we have not played with the horsepower at all. So.
Right, but you have a. How is it not? Are the VBAs still operating and all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't.
We did not back them off.
Right, you can't just put a single. It's not pushing enough boost, man. Jesus Christ, you got to put the other turbo back on it. Oh my God! Did you guys drop the compression to 16-1?
With all stock internals in it.
Yeah, dude, no. Yeah, you're not. It's designed to have a second turbo so it can push. Sorry to. I'm just. It's late.
No, it's fine.
No, you can't.
Like I said, it was not my idea to single turbo. I wanted to put the compounds back on it.
Yeah, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You got to put that turbo back on, man.
Okay, and that's the reason why it's running hot.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
Oh yeah. What you guys did there is not viable. No one can do that and get away with it.
So all these other guys that are, put single turboing their Acert motors, they're just throwing parts at it, but it's not the right way to do it. That's what you're saying.
So we get them in here all the time where guys will actually put a proper tune on it, and they'll delete the VBAs, single turbo it, but they didn't change the internals, and it tears the living shit out of them. And I mean, it tears the living shit out of them. But at least they run, right? They'll run, and the guys can go get work done and this and that. It just 100,000, 200,000, it wrecks the shit out of them. Okay, you haven't even taken that step. You're not even to the point where you can wreck this thing, right? No,
this thing has literally got 1,000 miles on it. We just test drove it a few times. I'm like, okay, something's not right here. We parked it. We're just trying to figure out.
Right, because you guys didn't.
We're not going to run it like that, obviously.
You guys didn't do anything. You just changed it. You just singled out the turbo, right? It doesn't work like that at all. You have to have some monkey that will tune that thing for you, and you're on the fast track to an overhaul anyway after he gets done doing it. What is the right way? Now, the right way, if you're going to do something like this, right, is you have to change the compression to 16-1, first of all, Then you put a single turbo on it, and then and only then can you deactivate the BBAs. And of course, there's EPA problems with doing all of that, right?
Sure.
It's no
Yep.
longer EPA compliant, so I'm not advising you to do that. But that is the only way you can make that thing run without having to visit a shop in a short amount of time, or be in the position you're in where it just won't work at all.
Yep. No, I totally understand. I didn't realize there was that big of a compression difference between the two.
Oh, Jesus, giant. Yep. Throw the turbos back on for your melt that fucker to the ground.
Absolutely.
All
Gotcha.
right, brother. Good night.
Thanks for your help. Yep. Have a good
bye.
night.
I try not to laugh, but some of them are pretty comical. Can the coolant be going out the exhaust? They already said that the coolant's going into the oil pan, guys. Talking about the last caller. The coolant's going in the oil pan. They're draining 6 gallons of coolant out after the 6 gallons disappears from the cooling system. And it happens in 80 miles. They're putting that into the oil pan. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna single out your Acert, you at least got to go get the 5EK valve covers and put them on it. Then she'll run right. That's the solution there. One last caller. We'll go ahead and take him. He did hang on 22 minutes. Zedler, O'Reilly Zedler, I think something. You're on the air, brother. What can we do for you? Thanks for hanging on.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. I'll make it quick because I know you're trying to get out of there. So I got a total of 4 trucks, but I got 2 of them got cats. One's the 6NZ. Well, it was an MBM, and we rebuilt it all back with 6NZ IPD. And then the other one's 6NZ, and I just rebuilt that one about 2-3 months ago. I guess information's probably in that video now that I've been listening for the last 22 minutes. But man, it's like I run here. I'm out of Michigan. We do a lot of heavy hauling over here, and we're fine on the flatter and the rolling hills and stuff. But we go down to Carolinas and get cottonseed and stuff, and come back up. And it just seems like this warmer it's getting, we're getting up there 220, 217, 225, no matter what, it seemed like you're getting real hot going up fancy and stuff. And I just didn't know what the true safe temperature is. And, I always tell my guys, put the fan on beforehand because I don't want to spend $30,000 on a rebuild. But, I didn't realize that, it should do it on its own. I was just always taught, you get in the hills, turn it on and be on the safe side. But so I guess what I'm saying is, what is the true safe temperature for it? And, I've done radiators, they're new on them, oil coolers, water pump. I just changed the water pump last weekend, and it wasn't even leaking out of the weep hole, but it did drop the temperature down. So have you ever had one go bad and not coming out of the weep hole?
On the water pump?
Yeah.
Yeah, that weep hole on the water pump is just to warn you that you are one seal away from mixing coolant and oil. That's it.
Right.
Right. So it's not a big deal. You just got to change your water pump. And some guys will just plug that hole. That is not advisable, guys. Don't plug the hole, change the water pump. But anyhow, to answer your question about the temperature, and this is like one of the most common questions I get asked. Guys, the engine fan pretty much across the board for every diesel engine does not come on until 218 degrees. 218 degrees. Okay. Guys are turning their fan on way before that. Now, the guys that engineered these engines know what they're doing. I promise you. They are purposely trying to get your engine to go to 218 degrees. So it will burn the carbon off and increase the longevity of your engine. Every time you turn that fan on before it gets to 218 degrees, you're doing yourself an incredible disservice. I don't care how many guys get in the comment section and say, I always turn my fan on, I get 1,000,000 miles. Okay. Take it from a guy that opens engines for a living. We're on track to do over 300 engines this year. We did 250 last year. I can tell you unequivocally that engines that do not get up to operating temperature build carbon into the pistons like crazy, it starts to tear up your valve train. It starts to tear up your liners, and it absolutely decreases the performance of the engine and accelerates the time to an overhaul. We can tell an engine that has not been getting up to operating temperature. It's incredibly obvious. And the crazy thing is the farther you get away from the northern states, the more you get to the southern states, the worse the problem is. I'm more likely to see a truck from Texas, for example, to have massive carbon buildup than I am from one that came from North Dakota, Minnesota, Alaska, and because those guys need to keep their engine as warm as possible, whereas your guys in Texas and stuff like that have the opposite mentality. They're always fighting as hard as they can to keep the engine as cool as possible. And the guys in the South, the southern states, are destroying their engines. We see it nonstop. The valve train damage on the engines from a southern truck to a northern truck is almost predictable. It's almost predictable. If your engine fan coming on its own does not get the engine coolant temperature under control without you doing anything to help it along, your engine has a serious fucking problem and it needs to go to a shop. End of story. There's no scenario, and I'm obviously talking to everybody here. I'm not preaching to you, but there's no scenario where your engine cooling system cannot cool the engine down independent of you unless there's something wrong with your engine. There's no scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
where's the fine line where it starts, doing damage? So if I'm, obviously, like I said, it should kick on at 217, like you said. But if they're getting up there 220, 225, it's 230. Right. So it's like 230, 235 when you start damaging.
Yep. So when you start to get up there around 230, like the heat tabs that I put on engines my telltales that I put on engines and heads, they don't even start to degrade until 235. Your engine will never climb that high in the course of a normal operating procedure. That includes any routine that you can put it through at any weight on any grade. Unless your engine's fucked up.
Right. Well, I think we're all right. Just a little bit paranoid. And like I said, I did that last rebuild myself, first one I done, and everything's good. I just wanted to be, have the knowledge to, go back to my drivers too, because they get paranoid and nervous, hey, we're getting up there. I don't want to tear this motor up.
Yep. Yeah.
If the buzzers ain't on, you're all right. But,
Here's something to consider though. Most of your fleet trucks do not come with an option for the driver to turn the fan switch on. It doesn't even exist. It's not even in the truck. Most of your fleet trucks are built that way. And that is to eliminate the driver from being able to do that.
Makes sense.
I used to have meetings with my guys all the time and threaten to disable the fan switches. And in fact, I had 2 trucks that I did disable the fan switch because I got so damn tired of the drivers not listening to me. I just disabled them, and I never lost an engine over it. In fact, I probably saved my engines. I mean, in my opinion, here's the other thing: your engine, the hotter it is, the more efficiently it's running. Better fuel mileage it's getting, the whole 9 yards. Your diesel engine relies entirely on compression for combustion, right? And the hotter that engine is, the more efficiently it burns. It has no spark.
Well, that makes sense. So even like with the warm stuff, like heavy hauling, I know you said you did. Like, did you ever upgrade your radiators to any like 4 cores or any stuff like that, dimpled, or just ran stock radiator, 2 core, 3 core?
Yep, always ran stock radiators. We do a lot of horsepower builds here. In fact, we probably do more horsepower increases than anybody in the country. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. We're just not those guys that build horsepower where you can't just drive it. You know what I mean? But we're upgrading people's CPLs around the clock as far as increasing their horsepower. And I never, ever, ever, ever tell people they need to go get a 4-core radiator. In fact, I don't think it's necessary at all. If you're doing some kind of crazy heavy haul, there might be an application where you need a 4-core radiator to help keep everything cool. But that would be the only instance I could think of where you would need something like that.
Okay.
You know, everybody's always concerned about their Cummins. Somebody just made in the comment section, your Cummins run 240 degrees on the oil. That's hotter than shit, right? I agree, but it's not degrading anything. Your oil can go to 240 degrees and it's not hurting anything. It looks concerning when you're looking at your gauge. You're like, holy shit, my oil is at 240 degrees, but it's not hurting anything. And everybody's, well, I need to put a dual oil cooler on this thing. Do you? How do you account for all the people running around at 240 degrees on their Cummins that haven't put a dual oil cooler on and their engines aren't burning to the ground? I know PDI sells a dual oil cooler and everybody dreams about getting one. And occasionally guys spend the $3,000 to get one and the $3,000 to have it installed. And they feel like they did themselves a great service. For what about all the people that didn't do it? When you have hundreds of counterexamples to your theory sucks, right? Anyway,
mine are the comments.
No, I'm just talking in general. So like,
oh, okay.
So you asked me about a 4-core radiator, right? Well, there's going to be guys out there to tell you got to have a 4-core radiator. But if there's hundreds of counterexamples, in other words, there's millions of trucks literally running around that don't have 4-core radiators and they're not burning to the ground, those are all counterexamples to the claim that you need a 4-core radiator. Yeah. So if your theory has hundreds of counterexamples, your theory fucking sucks. Right?
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with a dual oil cooler. Everybody thinks they have to have a dual oil cooler, but the counterexamples exist by the millions, literally. So the theory that you need a dual oil cooler sucks. Anyway, all right, brother man. I probably better call it a wrap.
Yep. Nope. I appreciate it, buddy. I really do.
Yep.
So
have a good night, man.
You stay cool down there. So
yeah, you stay cool too, but keep your cats warm. Have a good night. All right, guys. I had fun tonight. I kind of enjoyed doing the show by myself. I do like having guests, don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed the one thing I enjoy about doing the shows by myself is it gives me a lot more opportunity to interact with the comment sections, which makes it a lot more fun. For sure. So I do appreciate all you guys coming in here and interacting with me. I enjoy the comment sections. Where can you follow me? Our main following is on TikTok. We have a pretty good following on Facebook as well. Hacknation on all those locations. We're kind of new to YouTube. We don't have much of a following there. A little bit. And I don't post as much to YouTube, unfortunately. We're planning on fixing that, but anyhow, guys, again, I appreciate all of you. I'm going to make a video tomorrow probably talking about the show and see what you guys all think about who I should have on next for a guest. I think that'd be kind of fun. See what everybody else thinks. Who y'all would like to have come on here? Sean Phillips, you desperately need to talk to me. Well, brother, I got to wrap it up. I'm already an hour over. I want to follow you around the shop. Jesus, dude, I don't even want to follow me around the shop. Good show tonight. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I did enjoy myself. Enjoyed all you guys in the comments here hanging out with me. Who's my biggest customer? I don't know. I don't know. Ruben the sandwich. Yeah, that poor guy. I should have been nicer to that guy. But, that Ruben guy, that video that I tore into him on, I understand that he wasn't really talking that much shit, but he really was, if you want to get technical, because he was bashing on parts and he knows I'm coming out with some parts. So he was low key talking shit. But the reason I was kind of mean to that guy is because he had made a video about me previously, a couple of weeks previously, where he was talking some shit to me, but he took it down before I could reply to it. He must have got worried about it or something. So I wasn't very nice to Ruben the sandwich when I replied to him. But K2 diesel. Yes, 700 horsepower to haul 80,000 pounds. I agree, man. Anyway, guys, again, who's my biggest customer? Yeah, I was going to answer that. I don't know the answer to that. We have quite a few loyal customers that own a lot of trucks. There's quite a few, man. There's probably 10 different companies out there that own anywhere from 7 to 50 trucks. 10 to 50 trucks or whatever, that just kind of bring us everything they got. We see a lot of repeat trucks. There's also 2 different companies that have all owner operators. They have a couple hundred owner operators. I can't remember the names of them. And all of their owner operators come here. So they're probably our biggest customers, actually, but they're not a single customer. They're a single conglomerate of trucks. You know what I mean? So our biggest customers are probably one of those 2 that are just all independent owner operators, but they all have the same shit on their door. You know what I mean? But anyway, K2 are the guys offering $11,500 in frames. Somebody asked me earlier if we are if our shop is close to shit. I can't remember the name of those guys. The answer to that question was yes, we are close to whatever those guys. I can't remember the name of them. K2 Diesel, those are the guys offering 11,500 in frames. I have seen your content on TikTok. That's a smoking deal. That's a smoking deal. I think they're a little too low, personally. I think there's not enough accounting for comeback. Thing a guy's got to remember, and I'm not getting down on K2 Diesel at all. I don't know them well enough to do that. I think they're good guys. I believe I've talked to him before, and I think my boys do some stuff with them. I think they're good guys, good shop, all that kind of stuff. But if they were going to ask me, I would say their price is probably a little too low because they're not accounting for standing behind their work, right? I'm not saying they don't, but that could hurt them in the long run. K2 is Kentucky. Yeah, I wasn't saying K2 is down the road from me. Somebody's asking me if we're down the road from, I can't remember who they asked me, but the answer was yes. I think K2 should raise their price a little bit from that, and they'll be a little more comfortable about making sure that they stand behind all the stuff that they do. People are willing to pay a little more than that. If you're too low, people will kind of be scared of your service, and rightfully so, really, because they'll look at it and say, and if I have problems, and let's say 2 or 3 of us have problems, and all of a sudden, they have to stand behind their work, did they build in enough cost factor for that? We were doing a $15,000 budget build a while back. But 15,000 isn't 11,500. I think they should really raise their price a little bit on that, and they'll probably get more customers, if they were up there 14, 15, something like that. And then, yeah, standing behind the work's worth the extra money. I'm not saying they don't stand behind their work. Don't anybody get me wrong there. From everything I've heard, K2 is a great shop. There's nothing wrong with them at all. I think they're doing themselves a disservice. I'm trying to give them some friendly advice. They should really raise that price a little bit. Not that I don't want the drivers and end users to get a great deal. You guys know that I've helped out lots of people, and we do our own promotions, similar stuff. But you know, a guy's really got to build in. You know, I did $11,500 in frames. 3 of them have a fucking problem. You know, and they may not be major problems, but it's something you got to stand behind. How much of that 11,500 when it operates, and how much do you have left over? Are you able to, you know, are you able to truly serve the end user? You're doing them a disservice because you were too cheap. So anyway, just my thoughts. I should have already left. It's 10 o'clock. I'm signing off. I've just enjoyed myself tonight. I don't always enjoy these shows, so tonight was a lot of fun. So anyway, I'll wrap it up. You guys have a good night. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Love you a long time. It was a fun show. I'll see you next week. I'll make a video tomorrow. Get on there, comment on it. Tell me who you'd like. Should be a lot of fun.